Was that true? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Bondi out as Attorney General. I feel like that doesn't really avoid the problem, right? Like, the reason why she was getting like nuked from orbit is because of the way like the Epstein files came out. So I think that there was like some world where they like easily avoided this, which would just be like, I don't know, like redacting files and then releasing them in batches, being like very transparent at the very beginning, being like, listen, there's like millions of files. We're going through and redacting them as quickly as we can, and then releasing like ones that are like well and truly redacted, but that don't protect like perpetrators, and then releasing those. But based on like the way that they've done it, like I actually just think that they're cooked. I think that they've cooked themselves. I think that there's like no way saying like, oh, actually the files, they're on my desk. Oops, wait, no, they don't exist. It's like kind of unrecoverable at that point. But I don't know. Like it didn't need to be is the weird thing, right? Like they easily could have released it like normal people. But nope, I guess not. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. I got the damnable service going a bit too late. But Andrew, thanks you so much for the $50 super chat. That's incredible. I appreciate the heck out of you. That's like super, super great. Let's get a big W for Andrew Coates. I don't know, big support like that is like, it's like a big part of why I'm able to continue doing this with the frequency that I do. So I really appreciate that. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. If you don't have that, don't request to join, and that will go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, how old are you?
21.
Yep, what religion?
Christian.
Sure, what makes you think God exists?
A lot of it's just gonna be like faith, also like fine-tuning argument. I thought the newer like psychophysical harmony is decent. Don't ask me to defend it. It's a little over my head.
Which one do you want to defend?
You said what?
You want to defend fine-tuning?
I mean, we can try. I kind of came up to here because you're making the proposition God's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was kind of wondering to see like, are you saying that it's not possible for any God to exist? Are you specifically referring to a certain God?
Yeah, it's not possible. So I take God to be something like a personal ultimate foundation to reality. So I don't think that it's possible for that thing to exist, insofar as it's not possible for the universe to be caused into existence, because it's not possible for time to be caused into existence. The reason why that is because there can't be, change must have always existed. If change didn't always exist, then there would be a changeless state that changes into a changing state. But of course, like changeless states don't change. So change must have always existed. And if change exists, then time exists. So time must have always existed. And I mean, time is interconnected to space. So that means like space-time must have always existed. And at that point, like we just have the universe.
Right, so you're saying because like time necessitates that there's space, therefore space has always existed.
Yep.
I was confused on the changeless part, dude. So you're saying like a changeless, if there's go through it again with me.
Yeah. Let's say change began to exist. We would have some state without change, and then we would have some state with change. Specifically, we would have a changeless state where a change occurs, and then it changes into a changing state. But that's a contradiction. A change doesn't occur in a changeless state.
So it couldn't be changeless. So if it's changeless, that means it'd be a contradiction if it became a non-changeless state.
If a change occurs in a changeless state, then we have a contradiction.
That does seem to be the case, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no argument against that.
Okay. Is there something else you wanted to talk about?
No, that's a pretty good argument. Never heard it before. W.
Yep. Hey, appreciate it. Yep. We're bringing that argument in. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen sharing with your friends, doing all that good stuff. That dude was pretty chill. Okay, let's go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
P2, objective moral values do exist. Conclusion, God exists.
Okay, what would be the supplementary argument for P1? So I'll type up 1.1 and 1.2. So what would be your follow-up argument there to demonstrate the first one is true?
Do you think grape is objectively
Do
wrong?
you think grape is objectively wrong? And then 1.2?
I don't really have a 1.2. I mean, I just stand on that.
Well, I think that you might be a bit confused. I'm not rejecting P2. I'm rejecting P1. Why? What's your defeater to?
Exactly. So.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's what we're on P1. Yeah, I wasn't on P2. I was on P1.
Well, because your question makes like literally zero sense. Like, do you think grape is objectively wrong? If I was rejecting that objective moral values exist, then it would make sense to ask me whether or not I think that grape is objectively wrong. But I do think objective moral values exist.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, like, why would I think? Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. So if you affirm P1, thank you. So then you affirm objective.
That's P2.
Morality.
You're a bit confused.
Do objective moral values exist?
I've already answered this.
Yes.
Okay. I think you're a bit confused still.
If you agree with my P1, if my
that's
P1
not your
is
P1,
good,
it's literally
then
on the screen. You should like raise your eyes and like look at the screen. You made this mistake like 4 or 5 times in a row. Your P1 is not objective moral values exist. Your P1 is if objective moral values exist, then God exists.
And you agree with that?
I agree with that objective moral values exist. I don't agree that if objective moral values exist, then God exists.
Okay, so how can you have objective moral values without
this
God,
is
then?
Burden shifting. What it's your burden to demonstrate is that you couldn't possibly have that without God existing.
Perfect. If you have your own values from yourself, that is subjective.
But why is the only place that it could come from without God the self? Why couldn't it come from somewhere else?
Could come from?
Yeah, like logic, for example. It could be derived from laws of logic, like necessary oughts, like a categorical imperative of some sort.
Laws of logic actually help prove God, not disprove God.
Okay, you asked where morals could come from, and I'm telling you they come from laws of logic. Why couldn't they come from laws of logic?
Because an atheistic worldview cannot account for the laws of logic.
Oh, why not? What's the argument for that?
I can give another P1, P2 if you'd like.
Please, yeah, I'd love that.
P1, laws of logic are universal, immaterial, and unchanging.
Laws of logic are universal, immaterial and unchanging.
P2, atheism can't account for that.
Atheism can't account for that.
Therefore, atheism, it cannot account for the laws of logic, so therefore atheism is illogical.
Laws of logic, and is therefore illogical. What law of logic does this argument follow?
The law, I mean, we could say the law of non-contradiction.
Yeah, sure. So where's the contradiction?
No, there is no contradiction.
Oh, okay. So this actually doesn't invoke law of non-contradiction at all. So which law of logic does this argument follow, or is it like more of an illogical argument?
No, this isn't an illogical argument,
yeah,
bro.
So which law of logic does it follow?
Do you reject P1 or P2?
Which law, or I reject the validity. It's an invalid argument.
Okay, so you'd have to reject either P1 or P2.
It's an invalid
Because
argument. The
so you're
grass is
saying-
green, the sky is blue, therefore God doesn't exist. Do you reject P1 or P2?
Slow it down. The grass is green.
Yeah, premise 1, the grass is green. Premise 2, the sky is blue, therefore God doesn't exist. Would you be rejecting premise 1 or premise 2 there?
Yeah,
You have to
I'd
reject either
all of
premise
it.
1 or premise 2.
Premise 1, then, just because the grass is green, how would that say God doesn't exist?
Sure, you reject that the grass is
Conclusion.
green? You don't think grass is green?
No, your conclusion, just because the grass is green, how would that disprove God?
Okay,
Your
so to be clear,
your
what you're
conclusion
taking
doesn't
issue with is
follow.
not any... Oh, exactly,
It's a
yeah,
non
that's my
sequitur.
point. Yeah, your conclusion doesn't follow, it's a non sequitur.
The laws of logic are universal, immaterial, and unchanging. How can they account for that?
What's the argument that they're universal, immaterial, and
Because
unchanging?
matter cannot be reduced to like non-matter.
What question do you
Just
think
that-
I just asked you?
Bro, we're breaking down the laws of logic
What?
arguments.
Okay, you didn't listen to the question, did you? If God gave you your senses, wouldn't we expect them to work a bit better? But like, you just completely failed to hear the thing that I
We have
just
free
said.
will, bro. We have free will.
Did you just like freely will not to hear it, or?
Yeah, do you reject free will?
Okay.
Do you think we don't have free will?
Okay, that's like very interesting. So you're openly admitting that you're not engaging in good faith. You're openly admitting that
Do
you're
you
not
think we
listening
have
to
free
me. You're
will?
openly admitting that you're not actually engaging. Why would I let you do like another derail? You already derailed from the morality topic to like the laws of logic, and now you're attempting to derail once more to
No,
free
I'm
will.
staying right here on laws of logic. If you want laws of
Okay,
logic.
sure, yeah. Laws of logic. Why are the laws of logic universal, immaterial, and unchanging?
The laws of logic, universal. I would say, I mean, some people would obviously disagree. I would say the laws of logic aren't necessary
But why are they universal, immaterial, and unchanging? Why is that true?
because they're necessary.
Okay, why does that mean that they're universal, immaterial, and unchanging?
Answered you, bro. Just because you don't like my answer, I
You
mean,
categorically
I think the
didn't.
laws of logic are necessary. That's why they're
Yeah.
universal. They apply everywhere because they're necessary.
So
Something
something can
necessary
be-
must be universal.
Ooh, that's a total blunder. For example, you could be a necessitarian and hold that every single event is necessary, but that wouldn't make every single event universal. So that's just like straightforwardly false what you just said.
Okay, so then how can atheists account for that? How can atheism account for universal, immaterial, and
I don't
unchanging
grant that the laws of
logic?
logic are universal, immaterial, and unchanging. Are you like looking
you
down
think-
at
you
your
think in a
dialogue
possible
tree
world-
and you're not
No, no, no,
sure
no.
like what to
No,
do? Like
I'm right
you've
here.
gone
I'm
through
right
all the
here.
options
I'm right here.
and like Jim Bob
So
just
you
didn't
think in
put
a
this one in the
possible world
dialogue tree, or
Okay, I got you. Do you
Okay.
think in a possible world contradictions could exist?
no,
You have to.
no.
You have to. If
No.
you don't agree with the laws of logic, then
I do agree with the
contradictions can
laws of
exist.
logic. You have like brain
Then-
damage or something.
Bro, you literally just denied that though.
No, I deny that they're universal, immaterial, and unchanging. That's
Okay, so
silly.
the laws of logic can change, right? The laws of
No,
logic
that
can
doesn't
change.
follow. In order to reject all three
you
of
just
those,
said
I
you
would only
reject
need to
that the laws
disagree
of
with one of
logic
them.
are
You're making an
universal,
and
immaterial,
claim. This is a classic blunder.
Bro,
You know,
so
it's like if I asked you, right, like, you know, the grass is like, would you agree that the grass is green, the sky is blue, and rape is permissible? And you're like, no. And then I was like, oh, you don't think the sky is blue?
Bro, you
Clearly,
just
that's
said
not the one
laws
that I'm
of
disagreeing
logic-
with.
You just said the laws of logic are not universal. So you think in all possible
Do you think that they
worlds,
hold
the laws of
between
logic aren't
propositions or
necessary?
non-propositions? Do you think, like, for example, the laws of logic hold on like a rock simplicator, or just propositions about that rock?
Bro, I'm trying to be honest.
I just
You
asked you a
denied-
question.
No, we're on the laws of logic, bro. You
What
said
question
they're
did I
not
just ask you,
universal.
or did you not listen?
You're on a tangent, bro. That doesn't
Okay.
matter. It's a non
Yeah,
sequitur.
and I
Where you're
grant, right,
leading
like
is
you
a
got
non
slammed so
sequitur.
hard that you have a concussion, your head is spinning, you don't know where you are,
Yeah,
you don't
you
remember what I
made
said,
how
even
many
though it happened like
non-sequiturs?
5 seconds ago. You know, somebody like held your head underwater, both after you were born, but also like right this very second, which is why, you know, there must have been like water in your ears or something. But no, the
Bro.
question's like very simple. Do you think that the laws of logic apply to a rock simplicator or just propositions about that rock?
The first one.
Okay, what's the argument for that?
Just guess because you're going on these tangents that don't
Okay,
really
sure.
matter. It's
I'll
non sequitur.
formalize this. Okay, so the conclusion, of course, being laws of logic apply to rocks simplicator. Your first premise, your P1 is, bro, you're going on all these tangents. What's your P2?
Bro, I'm trying to stay right here on the laws of
Bro,
logic.
I'm trying to
think that
stay
they are
right
universal.
here on the laws of logic. Yeah, what's P3?
You think the laws of logic are not
You
universal.
think the laws of logic are not universal?
Before, so then contradictions can be real, right? Since laws of logic aren't
Contradictions
universal.
can be real. Nope, that doesn't follow.
Yes, it does.
So I'll actually break down to you. I'll be like super generous here and break down. I'll give you an argument. Laws
Okay,
of
what does
logic
universal, immaterial,
apply
and unchanging mean?
strictly to propositions.
Like, I don't know if you're purposely butchering these
Not
definitions,
everything
but
is a proposition. Therefore, the laws of logic do not apply to everything. Okay, would you reject P1 or P2? Oops, sorry.
let's go P2.
You don't think, okay, are you a proposition?
Sure, yeah.
And what proposition are you? What's the subject and the predicate?
Well, in your worldview, I'm just matter, right? I'm just
No, I want to
matter.
know.
I'm
You said that you're a proposition.
chemical
What's the
reaction.
subject and the predicate that's equivalent to you? Do you even know what a proposition is?
I told you I don't. How many times? I've
Okay.
been giving you these funny answers. You think
Sure.
I'm serious
A
because you
proposition is
ran
a
from the
statement
laws
that
of
can either
logic.
be
You said
true
they're
or
not
false, but not
universal.
neither
You
or
said they're
not both.
immaterial.
I'm
So can you
literally
see the laws of
motivating
logic?
to you. Whoa, I'm literally
You said the
motivating
laws of
to you that
logic
the
are
laws
not
of logic.
immaterial. Can you see the laws
Whoa,
of
that
logic?
just doesn't follow. So my claim
The laws of
specifically is that they're
logic
not
are universal,
universal.
immaterial,
You
and
once again have
unchanging.
brain damage, and now I think you're getting a bit insecure because you're getting like brutally
The three
knowledge gapped
follow.
here.
The three follow: universal, immaterial, and unchanging.
Okay, I'm
You
literally
reject
giving you
all
an
of that, or just
argument.
one.
I'm literally giving you an argument against them being universal.
If the laws of logic are not universal, it
Yes.
means they're not necessary.
No,
right?
it means they don't apply universally. They don't apply to everything.
Can you demonstrate that?
It's literally demonstrated right there in front of you.
Break it down in layman's terms.
It's genuinely like syllogized right there in front of you. I'm giving you an example of a thing that the laws of logic do not apply to, and it's non-propositions.
Laws of logic apply strictly to propositions. Not everything is a prop. So then what about P1 strictly to, if you would just say the law of logic applies universally, and then you could say P2.
What's your understanding of the law of non-contradiction?
Something cannot be P and not P.
And what are these P's specifically? What are those?
Like,
They're propositions. I'll help you out here. What the law of non-contradiction is saying is that a proposition and its negation is strictly false. The law of non-contradiction is a relation between propositions. The law of excluded middle, a relation between propositions. The law of identity, a relation between propositions. The laws of logic are strictly a matter of propositions.
okay, so do you think something can be true and false at the same time?
No. I agree that they apply
Well, then
to
they're
propositions.
universal, right?
They're universal to
universal?
propositions, but they're not universal overall. Because there are things that are not propositions. The laws of logic,
So does logic apply everywhere?
it applies to every proposition. It doesn't apply to like things that are not propositions.
I'm just like, could you demonstrate how something could break either the laws of logic or how they're not universal? I mean,
Yeah, for example, you know, there is no logic that you can apply to just like a rock simplicator. You can apply logic to propositions about that rock. You know, there can't be a contradiction in the propositions that are about that rock, but the rock itself, laws of logic don't apply to that.
do you think the rock simpliciter could break the law of logic? Rock
It's not that it
simpliciter could
breaks
break.
them, it's that they don't apply. It's a category error.
Do you
Saying
think
like
that rock,
rock and
so
not
you-
rock is just like bad English.
I don't know. That's
Do you want me to make an argument against God?
I mean, sure, I could write it down. Yeah, I'd love to.
Sure. How does God know that he's all knowing?
Does God?
What'd you say? I think I missed that.
No, I'm repeating the question. How does
Yeah.
God know that he's all knowing?
Yep.
I don't know. I would feel like Theos would say one of his energies would have to be like omniscient or like that. What's it called? Michael, we would obviously say God's always had logic, so he's always had like what's it called? Like a logical mind, so he's always known, he's always had logic, he's always known like everything.
Okay, but how does he know that he's all knowing?
He expresses it through his energies, and you could say through fulfilled prophecy.
What? That just like doesn't interact with what I'm saying at all.
Fulfilled prophecy. If you have fulfilled prophecy, you could say, yeah, he knows all these things have came true.
Okay. I mean, I guess like this, I'd take this to be like a total pivot away, but I'll even allow it. Yeah. What do you think?
Fitting point.
What do you think? What sort of prophecies do you think would provide like some sort of evidence for God?
You could say the virgin birth.
Okay. Why would I
was
think that a
prophes-
virgin birth occurred?
Well, it was prophesied in Isaiah, and you would think that if Adam and Eve were the first humans, every single other person must follow, and they must have a mom and if you look at history, you know, we have one miraculous birth.
I don't grant that. I don't grant that Jesus was born a virgin.
Well, you asked me, though. It doesn't matter what you think. You asked me, and I
You're
said,
trying to
well, if
provide
you
evidence
had,
here.
well, I said, yeah, if you have it prophesies that a virgin would give birth in Isaiah,
Yeah.
and then you see it fulfilled, you would
I don't
think,
grant
hold
that
on
it was
there.
fulfilled.
It doesn't matter what you grant. That's a non sequitur. You're asking me.
Well, first of all, I'm not even putting forward an argument. What you're trying to do is give
You
evidence
did.
for
You
your
literally
position.
did. You asked me a question. You
Yeah,
asked
and then
me
you
a
pivoted to like
question.
something else that's like totally unrelated to it.
You asked me, how would God know he's all knowing? I said, well, he's always had logic, and we see that.
And how do you think that answers the
expressed, right?
question? Like what
Well,
grounds
the
God's...
question is fallacious. The question itself is
of course,
fallacious.
sure.
That's like saying, why doesn't God sin?
I don't think it's like that at all.
Yes, it is. How does God know he's
I'm just
all
asking
knowing?
like what explains that fact about God? Like God knows that he's all knowing. What explains that?
We see it fulfilled. When he predicts something and it happens like
I'm
800
asking a
years
metaphysical
later.
question. I'm not asking an epistemic question.
Give
I'm not
him an
asking like
answer,
how do
though.
we know that he's all knowing? I'm asking how does God know that he's all knowing? If God designed you and he designed your senses, we would expect your ears to work. But despite me having repeated the question like 3 or 4 times, it still didn't. Like that just like never reached your brain apparently.
It's okay. You don't like my answer. That's fine.
You didn't answer.
I literally did. You asked
It was
me
like a
a
total
question.
dodge. You switched it, like you misheard the question. You thought I was asking, how do we know God is all knowing? I'm not asking, how do we know God is all knowing? I'm asking, how does God know that God is all knowing?
He can predict prophecy. He must know.
That's another answer for how we might know that he's all knowing. That doesn't explain,
No, I'm
metaphysically
saying if
speaking, what
he can predict.
grounds the fact that he knows that he's all knowing.
So if I never got any prophecy wrong, would you think I know all things?
Another total tracking error. I'm not asking, how do you know that he's all knowing? You keep trying to answer that question. What my question is, what grounds the fact that God knows that he's all knowing? Like, what is that grounded in? Metaphysically.
Him demonstrating it.
I'm not asking, how do we know that? I'm not asking, how do we arrive at the knowledge that God is all knowing? I'm not asking, like, what sort of evidence is there that God is all knowing? I'm asking, metaphysically, what explains the fact that God knows that he's all knowing?
No, I'd have to do more research. I mean,
Okay.
I gave you my answers and you don't like it, man.
Okay, let's talk about Christian ethics. Why ought I do what God tells me?
I mean, you have free will. You can do whatever you want, but
Then your
if
ethics are
you
subjective. If there's no reason why I ought do them, then it's subjective. You need to subjectively decide to listen to God.
you have free will, I mean, if
Your
you
ethics
want to
are
go to hell,
subjective
you can
then.
go to hell. I mean,
Sure, then your ethics are subjective. You need to subjectively decide that you don't want to go to hell in order to have a reason to do what God tells you.
what if you said like you would obviously know what's in your best interest?
Okay. And is that something that's going to be objective or subjective?
Objective, because you can either follow him and he can guide you, or you can be, you can not have his protection, and you'll have the free will to guide and just roam the world.
So is it in your best interest because that's what God says, or does God tell you what it is because it's in your best interest?
Well, I would think not even just from the first point. I would say we see it, right? We see evil, we see bad things in the world, right? And so wouldn't you think, well, I wouldn't want this to happen to me, you know? And like, especially if you go down like places that are known to be bad, right? Would you go down places that are known to be bad and to people get hurt, on certain alleys? And would you, go down that? No, you would avoid it, right?
Okay. I'm starting to feel bad. This is starting to feel like viciously like punching down. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I mean, I have a bunch more P1, P2s, but
Okay, you should try to focus on one and get like really good at that one. I would highly recommend not presuppositionalism because it's going to go about as well as it went for you today.
that's fine.
All right, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence. If you don't have that, then don't request to join. Very good, Wizard. Thanks so much for the super chat. When dealing with tag, do you 1 present an alternative, 2 present an present an alternative transcendental, 2 run tang to show it works the other way, 3 Euthyphro's dilemma, 4 other. I think these are all fun options. I haven't ran a lot of tang because typically they don't get it. Like they don't understand that they're getting like made fun of. Like if I were to say, if objective ethics exist, then God doesn't exist. Objective ethics exist, therefore God doesn't exist. And then when they're like, what? I just ask them, do you think rape being bad is an objective fact or a subjective fact? Or maybe I would need to check, like, maybe I need to do like genocide being bad. Do you think genocide being bad is an objective fact or a subjective fact? And then, they'd say it's an objective fact. And then I'd ask, okay, where does God tell you that you can't do that? And then anything they present is a contradiction. Listening to these callers makes me realize that it's rare for theists to directly engage with the question/challenge. I'm sorry you go through that. I'm sure it's probably true of like a lot of like atheists. I'm sure that there are a lot of like confused atheists and like, they're a bit like lost. And then they'll go to like somebody who's like a theist who's like read a lot, and then their answer like they just like won't engage. So I'm sure it like cuts the other way to some extent. All right, let's go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
What is going on?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 28.
And what religion?
Raised Christian, but transitioned to Islam.
Okay, what makes you think God exists?
Well, just personal experience. Like, if I feel like I've earned his presence, so I have received it. And I've received a lot of the blessings that come with his presence. But if you don't, if you believe that your will is all that there is in your life, then that's all you'll get.
That's not what I believe. It's not a true dichotomy.
You'll get all the physical benefits of the world, but you'll never really know what you are.
Okay.
You'll never know who you are or why you're here.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Because you don't pay attention.
To what?
You think you know what other people's perspectives are, and this infuriates me, actually.
Oh,
because
I'm sorry that I've made you so
that
upset.
Would make you a god if that was the case.
I just don't think that follows. So you said something that sounds like gibberish to me, which is like, without God, you won't know who you are. I asked you to elaborate, and then you said, well, the reason why you don't know is because you don't pay attention. It sounds like you don't know either. You can't explain the gibberish that you just said. Do you want to take like another stab at that? When you say that I don't know who I am, what does that mean?
What are you? Why are you here?
I'm a person. Why am I here? I think that we direct our own purposes and goals. I think that ultimately everybody the purpose is to live a good life, which can be determined through following along with people's normative reasons for action. And then there's a lot of subjectivity. After you're within the constraints of a good life, the specific type of good life that you want to live is up to you.
So you'd probably consider yourself a moral person.
I don't know if I'd say that.
Well,
I have my ups and my downs.
Well, what do we base morality in?
Morality is grounded ultimately in logic.
But morality has always existed along with religion.
No, it's grounded specifically in laws of logic.
Well, before religion was known by the masses, there wasn't much morality in the world.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are religions that are dating back as far as we know humans to be living in civilizations. Even like a lot of like hunter-gatherers will have like religious beliefs. This is also like a total pivot, complete gibberish. You never explained what you said. You said that I don't know who I am. What did you mean by that?
I don't think a lot of people, if you don't believe in a higher power, how can you know why you're here? I just don't understand that.
Well, you can just evaluate your life, and then you can rationally determine what the right thing to do is.
But if you look at life through a religious perspective, you see that there is positive and negative, very, very clear positive and negatives. And when you follow the positive, you get positive results out of it.
Oh, that's not strictly true.
Negative, you get
religion ruins a lot of people's lives. That's just not the case.
It is absolutely the case. That's my case. Okay, it might not be yours because you don't have the same test as I do.
Yeah,
we're all being tested.
Cool. That's wait, so then I wouldn't take that to be like any sort of indication of the truth of the matter, because this wouldn't hold for me. If I gave up my interest in pursuing things because they're logical and trying to believe true things, if I just gave that up willy-nilly to believe a religion because it will make me feel good, that would substantially reduce the quality of my life. My life is good because I pursue truth.
Well, I would say my life isn't good because I have already rejected this life, and I am focused on the next one.
Okay.
Or making it to the next one. But to make it to
I
the
thought you
next one,
said that by following the
essentially-
religion, your life got better.
Yes.
Okay.
Spiritually.
Okay, sure.
Metaphysically.
Yeah,
But
cool.
physically, it has always sucked.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't really know what it means to say that metaphysically your life is better. I'm not sure what it means to say that spiritually your life is better. I'm not sure why I would want to give up the good life that I have going on right now to pursue some nonsense that is badly explained.
Well, physical possessions are empty. They're only temporary.
I don't know what that means. That sounds like more gibberish.
We're only here for 80 years, like max.
Okay.
So what's after that? Like 80 years?
Why would I? What's the evidence to think that there's anything after that for us?
There is no evidence, but that's the point.
Sure. So is this belief rational or irrational?
Very rational, actually. The most
Sure.
rational.
So it's rational. Do you have a reason to think that it's true?
Yeah. I have
Yeah, what's
I
the
have
reason?
my own personal evidence.
Okay, sure. Why wouldn't God give personal evidence to everybody?
Because you don't deserve it yet.
Okay.
And I say yet. It's
So
not that
does
you won't
God
deserve it.
desire for every single person to form a relationship with him?
Now that's a tough question. Yes and no.
I take that to
think
be a
we-
contradiction.
So I think when people physically reject him and just decide there is nothing besides this, then I think he uses these people to test those of us who believe.
Okay, so
But they don't
does
know they're
he
being
desire
used.
a relationship with everybody?
So that's the difference of not believing and believing. The non-believers don't know they're being used, and those of us who do believe are willingly submitting to him.
Do you think this
used by
answers the
him.
question?
What was your question?
Okay, sure. I'll ask it a third time. 3 times is what it takes, apparently. Fuck, I don't even remember what it was. Let me go back in the replay. It was, does God... My memory is so shot, dude.
No, mine.
Yeah, does
Honestly.
God want everybody to have a relationship with him was the question.
Yes, but
Okay.
I think
Is
it's
it,
like
in
when
order
your
to
kids
achieve
suck.
that goal that God has, would it be necessary for everybody to get a personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sure. And if something is necessary to achieve your goal, would you agree that you ought to do it?
Wait, ask that again?
Yeah, if something is necessary to achieve your goal, would you agree that you ought to do it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, sure.
Well,
let's formalize
say it's
this
not really
really
up to me.
quick. So far we have this. Premise 1, God's goal is for everyone to form a relationship with him. Premise 2, in order to achieve that goal, it is necessary for God to give everyone a personal experience. Premise 3, if something is necessary to achieve your goal, then you ought do it. Therefore, God ought give everyone a personal experience.
Well, I would say that's why it's a test, is because if we knew he existed, then we would just say yeah, and we'd be granted heaven. But
Do you
without
accept
it-
the conclusion?
No, I don't
Okay.
think everyone deserves it.
Sure. So which of these premises do you reject?
Well, I wouldn't say I reject any of them.
Well, they do unfortunately necessitate the conclusion, just like logically.
I would think so.
God has
But-
this goal. There's this means that is necessary to achieve the goal. If you have a goal and there's a means that is necessary to achieve that goal, then you ought take that means. Therefore, God ought take those means.
Maybe he does.
Okay, sure.
But maybe it's in like the very last days when nobody else knows about
Okay,
it.
sure. So if God exists, then God gives everyone a personal experience. God does not give everyone a personal experience. Therefore, God does not exist.
To you, yes.
Well, okay, which
you.
of these premises is false?
Well, your conclusion is true to you.
Well, I just want to know which of these premises is false to you.
The first one.
You literally just agreed to this down here. Do you forget that?
Well, his goal is for everyone to form a relationship with him, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want to follow our will or trust in other people, then yeah, he's not going to do anything for us. Where he's going to let us do it ourselves, and then we're going to lay in the bed that we made.
Okay, do you accept or reject the highlighted conclusion that you accepted earlier?
I'd say I accept it.
Okay, so
most
you
people
agree
don't
God
receive
ought
it.
give everyone a personal experience. Does
I
God
think he
do the thing that
does.
he ought to? Okay, sure. So then you agree with the first one. If God exists, then God gives everyone a personal experience.
Yes.
Sure. So when you said you disagree with the first one, that was like maybe like a misthink. Okay, would you acknowledge that not everyone has received a personal experience from God?
I can't say. I just can't say that. Like, I don't know.
You think everybody's received a personal experience from God? Every single person?
I think so, but most people don't recognize it
Why wouldn't God give us personal experiences that we recognize?
because we're being tested. Like,
Okay.
we lost our way and we deserve to be tested. Like, if we're not, if heaven is what they say it is, a perfect place with no pain, just forever existing in peace and love and all these things, then if we have any intention of evil within us, we would taint that place. And they would need to know if we were, I don't want to say good enough, but if we're focused on the creator of all of it, who is willing to create this peace, then we submit to him.
Sure.
Instead of, yeah. So
That's great. So I've updated the argument. Premise 1, God's goal is for everyone to form a relationship with him. Premise 2, in order to achieve that goal, it is necessary for God to give everyone a personal experience that they recognize to be a personal experience. If something is necessary to achieve your goal, then you ought do it. Therefore, God ought give everyone a personal experience that they recognize to be a personal experience. Which part of that would you reject?
I probably wouldn't reject any of it.
Okay, so then you would agree that God ought give everyone a personal experience that they recognize to be a personal experience.
Yes, but I don't think he's inclined to.
So then he doesn't do what he ought to do. So he's irrational.
It would be seen as irrational when you can only see the physical.
Okay, so is there like a contradiction on your worldview? In actuality, ought God give this to everyone?
Well, throughout history, like whenever people lost their way, there were earthquakes and giant destruction that laid waste to entire landscapes. And anytime the masses lost their way, if they were one group, that group was scattered and dispersed amongst the earth. And then it just seems like when people disavow God, they are punished in the physical reality, but sometimes they just think it's chance. So they're like, oh, we'll just keep doing it.
Do you think that answers the question?
Maybe not.
Okay. In actuality, do you think that it's true that God ought give everyone a personal experience that they recognize to be a personal experience?
I can't say. I could never tell him to do anything.
I'm just asking if you agree with these premises. And then, as an extension of that, if you would agree with the conclusion that is logically necessitated by them.
I'd probably say so. Like,
okay.
Horrible people in old days, like that's the only reference we have to God in relation to them. Horrible people, like King David from Israel. He was a horrible man. He unalived a ton of people, and he still had that divine revelation and experience that turned him into a prophet. Literally turned him into from someone who hated the message of God to someone who spoke the word of him. Anybody is capable of receiving that divine intervention. Anyone at any time. It just depends on the moment. Depends on who you are and what you've done, or who he wants you to be.
Okay, so I have premise 1, if God exists, then God does what he ought do. Premise 2, God ought give everyone a personal experience that they recognize to be a personal experience. Premise 3, God does not give everyone a personal experience that they recognize as a personal experience, therefore God does not exist. Which would you reject of that?
In this reality, you're right.
Okay, so you agree God does not exist.
In this reality. Because if
Okay.
he did, it wouldn't
Sure.
be a test.
So you would say God isn't real, for example.
No, it is real.
He's real, but he's not in reality.
Well, if you conclude this reality is all there is, then you would conclude that there isn't one.
When I say
Well,
reality, I'm referring to all of it. Whatever
I've concluded that
exists,
this
you know,
reality is
if
only
God
a
were real, he would
portion.
exist in reality. In
Well, he
my
does,
view.
but-
When I
but
say,
in,
sure,
like, do
so then
your
he does
dreams
exist
exist?
in reality.
Like everyone dreams,
Yeah, dreams are in reality, yes.
but how can you prove that you saw that?
Prove
Like-
to somebody else?
Yeah,
Why would you
you
need to?
can't. But exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. So that's no problem. Dreams are still in reality, you know. They're real things, but they don't happen like external your mind.
Or like a movie that is like Interstellar, for example. If you watch that and then you try to explain it to like a caveman, it just wouldn't work. He wouldn't be able to comprehend it at all.
Okay. So do you accept the conclusion or you reject the conclusion?
I reject it.
Okay, sure. So which of the premises
yeah.
do you reject?
Probably 3.
That you think God has given a personal experience to everyone that they recognize as a personal experience?
Well, it says he does not, and I can't say that he does or not.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, I've never gotten a personal experience that I would recognize to be a personal experience.
Well, that's, yeah. To you, he doesn't exist then.
Okay. Sure. So do you think like everybody would make that same claim? Like all the people who would claim that they've never received a personal experience that they would recognize to be a personal experience, you think every single one of those people is lying?
Well, just like you, they say that they might not be completely moral people.
Okay. So to be clear, you do think that every single one of them is lying?
No, I don't think they're lying. Like,
So
I don't
they're
think
telling
anybody's
the
lying
truth?
about what they believe in.
Well, if they're telling the truth, then they're going to truthfully tell you whether or not they've received a personal experience. And if they've received a personal experience that they themselves recognize to be a personal experience, and they tell you the truth of that matter, then they're going to tell you whether or not they've received one of these.
Well, it's like personal truths. Everyone has a personal truth. Like if I've read 100 books and you've read 1,000 books, then your personal truth on one topic, for example, then your personal truth of that topic is way more in-depth than mine.
Okay, I have no idea how that interacts with the argument.
I would probably rely on your information to gain an understanding for what that topic is.
Zero clue how that
what
interacts in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's what you do with religions. Like you find other people who promote the religions, and when they speak of something that relates to you, that's where you find the connection in. You find the connection to God through people. That's the proof of God. Through people, through me, through
So
anyone
we're just
who
like done
believes in it.
engaging with logic. It's time to like gibberate more? Is that the plan?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Well, I'd prefer it if you didn't, so I'm moving to the next one. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence, some sort of reason to think that that dude is real. Let's read some supers. Do you believe in... Okay, wait. Do you believe an Islamic society is compatible with Western society? It's hard to be tolerant of a group that sees my wife and daughter as less than. I don't know. I would need to see like empirics on this, but I imagine if somebody immigrates here, like they're going to bring certain cultural attitudes, but surely they're going to have like some understanding that like it's a different culture here. So I think that there's like definitely like a lot of like Islamic immigrants who integrate like totally fine. And then I'm sure you'll be able to find some cases of some that don't. I think like it's probably like an empirical question. Um, Also, to be clear, a lot of men are going to see your daughter as less than, even if they were raised here. So this seems to be like an issue that's not particularly unique to Islam. Dr. Fudge, thanks so much for the super chat. I sorely wish some of the people calling in would recognize that the pastor speak doesn't work in these contexts. Yep, yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. I think that logic is good at cutting through that. Is the guest speaker Mike Johnson? That would be so funny if it was. Islamic Mike Johnson. Johnson Dawa. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. And that will go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going? How old are you?
17, almost 18.
You gotta come back when you're 18. Can't be 17. It's an 18 or older show. It's TikTok terms of service. You know, you can be one day away from 18 and it's a terms of service violation. Keeping you here is dangerous to the stream. If what you're saying is true and you're about to be 18, then you can come back later. How's it going, Piper Wild?
Hi, it's going good. How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I am 23.
Okay. What religion are you?
I am Pentecostal Christian.
Okay. What makes you think that God exists?
So I believe that God exists because there are so many patterns in this world that just shows an existence of a higher being. Like, if you break it down, sorry, I'm trying to organize my thoughts.
That's okay.
So, like, there's a lot of patterns in nature, and like, just by happenstance, like, in our world, what is the percentage or the likelihood that gravity is just strong enough that everything works perfectly, or that it, like, because if it was stronger or weaker, things couldn't exist the way that they are, or that the patterns, like the way that atoms interact with each other, that like, what's the likelihood that like if they just were just a touch different, like they wouldn't work.
So when we're assessing things like probability, the question becomes how many opportunities are there? And there are like tons of opportunities. I'm not sure why I would think that even if the gravity here was prohibitive towards life, that nowhere else in the universe would the gravity be right for life. Also, it's just not true that there couldn't be more gravity or less gravity and then life would still form. Life would still form unless there was way more or way less gravity.
Yeah, absolutely. So like there's also other things, like Christianity has been around for about 2,000 years. Are there other religions? I didn't look into this. Are there other religions that have been around?
Okay, so
just
a
as
list
long,
of
and it's
religions
just
that
as
are
popular?
older than Christianity. You would have Hinduism, which is, gosh, I think it's like super old. It might be like 8,000 years old. Maybe I'm tripping. How old is Hinduism? It's like 4,000 years old. Buddhism is going to be like a similar age.
Gotcha.
Judaism, obviously, because it's like a precursor.
Yep.
Buddhism's around like 2,600 years old. Judaism would predate it. Judaism's probably about as old as Buddhism, maybe a bit older. Yeah, I guess like that's like a good starting list.
Yeah, so jumping off the Judaism, right, because that's a precursor for Christianity, right? I believe, I didn't look this up, I believe they differ because of Jesus Christ coming, right?
Basically.
Yeah. There are, hold on, I have to look up the number because I don't know it off the top of my head. But there are so many prophecies about Jesus' coming in the Old Testament, which I believe is where Judaism gets their scriptures from, right?
So my understanding is that Jesus has fulfilled essentially 0 prophecies, and that the only ones that he like maybe has arguably fulfilled are the ones that are like trivial, like the ones that say, you know, like the Messiah will like ride a donkey. There are no interesting prophecies that Jesus has fulfilled.
Gotcha. Okay. So like specific processes or prophecies that I find as evidence for the existence of our God that I believe in and that my church and I believe in, right? So
Holy
there
shit.
are
Mulk, thanks so much for the 19 cowboy hats. Yeehaw!
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
that's
Mulk.
awesome.
Appreciate that.
That
Yep.
looks great.
Hey, appreciate it. Yep,
Yeah,
please continue.
absolutely. So like in Zechariah 11, 12, Jesus, it states that the Messiah would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, right?
Oh, wait, sorry. Which verse
That
is
one's
this?
Zechariah 11, 12. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up.
Zechariah 11, 12. Okay. Let's read the faded context for this verse. I'll start from Zechariah 11.
So Zechariah 11 in the verse is 12. So it was revoked that day of the oppressed the flock who were watching me knew it was the word of the Lord. Verse 12, I told them, hold on, do I have the right one pulled up? So sorry. Yeah. So, and then so starting in 11, it was revoked that day. So the oppressed of the flock who were watching me knew it was the word of the Lord. I told them, if you think it best, give me pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter and a handsome price at which they valued me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. So that gives context to the 30 pieces of silver that Jesus was betrayed for. It's the ransom that Judas took essentially to it's the money that he took to betray Jesus to that government.
Okay. I mean, I just have no indication that this is talking about like a Messiah or giving a prophecy.
Fair enough.
It's also like very strange that it's talking in the first person.
Yeah, let me look up the context for that.
I would presume that the I there is, you know, the prophet Zechariah talking. I would imagine that that's him.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. Let me look that up. So I believe this is happening in a conversation between two shepherds and the Lord. So it's one of those examples of like things that did happen in the Old Testament that happened to two other people that foreshadow the what would come next.
So, okay, I don't really think that that's a prophecy because I think a prophecy is going to explicitly say, like, this is going to happen with the Messiah. Otherwise, what you could do is you could plausibly go back in and read foreshadowing into, like, anything that has, like, similar themes. So I think that we need, like, some sort of explicit indication of prophecy in order for me to take it seriously as being a prophecy.
Fair enough. Let me see if I can find some more.
Please, yeah.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for that, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Drop those likes. If you wanna learn about philosophy but you don't know where to start, you should consider joining the book club. We're doing a book club in the Discord. It's discord.gg/allegedlyian. Specifically, we're reading Michael Huemer's Knowledge, Reality, and Value. But you, dear viewer, are probably thinking to yourself, well, I haven't read any of the 10 chapters before this chapter. It doesn't matter. You know, the nice thing about this book is that you can jump in at any point in time. You don't need to have read the previous chapters. This one's about free will. I think Michael Huemer is very wrong about this one. I think he's like super wrong about his take on compatibilism. So you should read that chapter. It's also on Audible. I guess I could. Yeah, I appealed recently. I recently appealed the Discord. So allow me to go and check to see if the appeal went through. I mean, clearly it didn't, right? Like if I haven't heard anything about it, but I see.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah, go
Sorry,
for it.
I don't
Yeah.
want to interrupt you.
No, you're totally fine.
Okay, so Isaiah 53.
Isaiah 53.
Yep. And then I'm starting at verse 4.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, so surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, and he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So, whether you believe in God or not, he still died for your sins. And that's the beautiful thing about like our relationship with God, is that even though we still fall short, we cannot physically impossible for us to do it on our own, to live the way that he calls us to. So Jesus intercedes for us, and that was foretold back then.
Okay. So there's one pretty catastrophic problem, which is that when you turn to Isaiah 49, it tells you in no uncertain terms exactly who the suffering servant is. So, and this is like also, there's something wrong with that verse. It's not written as a prophecy. It's not saying that the Messiah is going to do this. And it makes sense in context, because what it's speaking of, if we turn to like Isaiah 49 verse 3, and he said to me, "You are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. But I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for nothing in vanity. Yet surely my cause is with the Lord, and my reward with my God." So it's the servant that is suffering is Israel, the nation. That's the straightforward interpretation according to the book of Isaiah itself as to who the servant is.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's like a lot of imagery that's referenced throughout the Bible that like Christ is to the church, and like so how do I go about explaining this? So there's a lot of double meanings a lot in scripture. So we are called by Christ through the Great Commission. Let me look that up real quick. But we are called to live how Christ did. So, and obviously we're human, we fall short. None of us paint the perfect picture that Jesus did. And so, but it's only by his intercession that we're able to come like even a fraction close to that. So, so the Great Commission.
It's a little bit confusing, isn't it? It seems like if there's like so many like double meanings, which of course are going to be mostly lost in translation, it seems like that's going to lead to a bit of confusion at certain points, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why there's scripture about leaning not on your own understanding. It's also the reason why we have the church, right? Because if we could do it all on our own, like if we could sit down and read this and like know it all on our own, if we can know God in full, there would be no reason to have faith or belief.
So I think that kind of puts it at odds with a verse from 1 Corinthians, specifically 1 Corinthians 14:33. For God is a God not of disorder, but of peace. Or fuck, is that the translation?
Yes.
Damn. I thought the
I'm so
translation, but
sorry.
he's not the author of confusion. Oh, I guess that's just a KJV thing. That's fine. That's fine. I guess that's not a real point because, apparently that's just like a bad KJV translation. But, I mean, regardless, if God wants you to form a belief in him through the Bible, it just seems like the last thing that he would want you to want to do is like confuse you with it.
So there's so much like of a God that like created the whole universe, right? And he created all of us each individually. There's so much knowledge and like things that to pass down. There's not enough time in our lifetimes to know all of that. You know what I mean? So there's reasons why we have people who study theology and like they look for these double meanings and looking for decoding them, like looking at the original languages that they were written in, because there are so many different meanings for one specific word, and vice versa. Like there are so many, like in Greek there's like 4 different words for love and they all have different contextual meanings.
But I mean, why not just create like a Bible in every language to avoid this altogether?
So there are many churches that like are working on that.
Like, why wouldn't God
Unfortunately,
himself do that? To give like a perfect version of his word in every language such that you don't need to fumble around with translations and like meaning loss?
again, like, so there is a need for, he gave us free will, right? So it's our choice whether we believe in him or not. And there are Christians that feel very passionately about going about and doing that because that's what God has called them to do. We all have each of our own strengths within the church. He gives us all different spiritual gifts, right? And so one person's calling maybe to create those translations and trying to make them accessible, but we also have the other side of that free will that wants to oppress it or destroy it.
Okay, that doesn't really seem to answer the question. Like, why wouldn't God? It seems like the much better thing to do here is to issue a Bible in every single language from God personally, such that like my eternal salvation doesn't hinge on, some dude really wanting to translate specific terms.
Right, yeah. So can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, like I guess
so many
like
thoughts.
why would God want it in just this like I suppose it's in 2 languages, the original scripts. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't he just create a version of the Bible, his own word in every single language? And in fact, language changes over time. So
Yeah.
why not just create like updated editions every single year such that it's like with the times? That seems like the correct thing for a God who wants to be believed in to do.
So he desperately wants us to believe in him, right? But at what point does that take away his promise of free will?
How would it?
Because then you're getting into like how would he go about and do that? You know what I mean? Like there are people who are working on that.
You just like
And
plop a
things
new
take-
version down at like a printing press every year. Or maybe like every 100 years in every nation.
Right. And there are so many translations in the Bible that do that.
But why couldn't he do it himself such that there isn't like a loss of meaning?
Then there would be no reason for us to better ourselves and work within him and grow in him and growing closer to him. Because if you like, okay, would you, I'm giving it another context, right? So you're in school for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know like say you're in math class, right? What benefit would there be to the math teacher giving you an answer key for the test so that you get everything right?
Well, okay, so let's try to put this into perspective, right? Let's say that if you fail this test, you're gonna get tortured forever, and the math teacher like really doesn't want that. I think that would be like an excellent reason to just give the answer key.
Right, but it takes away your autonomy of
No, it
being
doesn't.
able to Yeah,
You could
absolutely.
just freely choose, like, well, I don't want to get, I do want to get tortured, and then you can fill out the wrong answers. Or, you could say, well, I'm gonna, try my hand at these problems without the answer key. So you could still
So
reject the answer key if you don't want to avoid getting tortured, but it seems like that would be like the obvious thing to do if the math teacher doesn't want you to get tortured, and that's what's going to happen if you fail.
I'm pulling up scripture for this.
Okay.
So Revelation 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then starting in 15. So, giving some like context to this, right? So if you're handed the answer key, because we are handed the answer key, we have the Bible, right? But if it was just like A is A, B is B, you know what I mean? There would be no reason to actively pursue God how he actively pursues you. So it's not just I choose you, God, once and then done. It's a constant second by second, day by day choice to continue to pursue God how he pursues you. Because
Well, okay,
that matters.
that doesn't really seem to be quite true, because it's not just like God gives you the answer key. There are things external to the Bible that you need to figure out. Like, for example, you need to determine which denomination is true, because, for example, if Catholicism is true and then you're a Protestant, well, you still get tortured forever. So there are things that are like external to the Bible that are still like the Bible does not give you all of the answers, even on your own worldview.
So here's the thing. If you truly know and love Christ, you don't conform yourself to one like sect of the religion. So like whether you're Baptist or you're Lutheran or you're Pentecostal, if you love God and you love Jesus and you actively pursue the word in its full, I believe that he will have faith for that he will have mercy for you. So whether you're Catholic or any of that, because it's not by any of our deeds, it's only by Jesus's intercession and dying for us on the cross. I'm going to read out that verse now. So Revelations 3, starting 15. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold or nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot or cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. You will say, I am rich, I have acquired wealth and do not need a thing, but you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by the fire, so you can become rich, with white clothes to wear, so you can cover your shameful nakedness, and salve to put on your eyes so that you can see. So backing up and kind of like going through it like verse by verse, I know your deeds, that you are neither hot nor cold. Essentially, that is him saying that you can be given the answers. You have been given the answers. That's the Bible, right? So,
well, wait, but how would I know that the Bible is true?
So
I have like lots of religious
great
books that are in my face claiming to be the truth. Why would I? How would I determine that the Bible is true and that they're all false?
So that's a really great question. I'm going to look up some answers for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, while we're waiting for that, we'll read some supers. Ian, my attention span is deep fried in TikTok oil, and I can't concentrate when I'm reading stuff. Do you have any advice? I mean, 2 weeks ago, I might tell you that you should try to get prescribed for Adderall, but now that it's like impossible to find medication anywhere, don't do that. You should try fucking lion's mane mushroom. Whatever dubious nonsense they're saying that you should do other than that. No, I'm sorry. You should I don't know, maybe put the phone, well, fuck, I can't tell you to put the phone down either. I'm financially invested in your continued watching the Norman Explains. I don't know, man. That sounds
All right,
rough.
so there's a lot of textual reliability. So there's so many like the way that the timeline lines up, right? So if you were to read the Bible at its face value, right, you get confused timeline wise because it jumps around. But if there are scholars who have put it in line, and there's so much evidence in what we know about ancient world history that lines up with the events that happened, especially in the New Testament
Like
through
what?
the Greek manuscripts.
Could you give an example of like a supernatural thing that happened that there's like lots of evidence for? Like I agree with some of what it says, but the only things that I agree with what it says are like the non-supernatural things. I think that there's good evidence to think Jesus existed, good evidence to think that Jesus was crucified, and then there's like no evidence to think that he like resurrected or that like the disciples like died for a lie or something like that.
Okay, fair. So in my personal life, and I know that I'm sure that other people have experienced it as well, but there was a friend that I had. She had cancer, right? And she was actively being treated for it. And she showed up for one of her appointments. They were doing a scan to see how it was progressing, and the cancer was completely gone. There's still healing happening today in these moments, in supernatural events that can't be explained. And I used to work in a hospital, and I worked in the emergency department. So there are just miraculous things. It's all in your mindset on how you're seeing those personal intercessions, maybe not in your life, but also the people around you's life, that there is evidence for God.
But your friend was being treated.
Yeah.
Why would I think that it was like God instead of like just like the treatment? Well, okay, I'll actually give you like a reason
Yeah.
for why I probably wouldn't think that, which is that when you do like double blind controlled trials for prayer, you find that it just has no medical benefit at all. It does nothing. The rate of people who get prayed for and died is the same as like the rate of people who, don't get prayed for and die.
Right. So a lot of those times God sees the bigger picture, right? And we only have a fraction of it. And there's a reason why God calls those people home, or he doesn't. So somebody he may have kept alive, he still has plans for them to intercede in other people's lives, using them as a way to intercede in another person's life.
Okay, but then I guess I just have no reason to think that the prayer is the thing that causes it in those instances. Insofar as, every time I guess, like, why would I think that God is the cause of this?
Right. So God is all-knowing and all-present, right? So it's really in all of it's the mindset that we have for it. So can you state the question again, actually, for me?
Yeah, why would I think that what's going on there is like God causes the healing as opposed to the healing coming from like treatment?
Right. So cancer treatments take time, right? It doesn't just poof, gone.
It depends on the treatment, but sure. For
Right.
some of them,
Chemotherapy
that's true.
specifically.
I guess that sounds like it would be like super cancer dependent. Like it sounds like I could totally imagine like for some cancers it's like very quick, and then for others it's like very
Yeah,
slow.
absolutely. Even like the doctors call it, what do they call it? It's a like, I don't know the specific term for it, but essentially saying that they don't know why it's gone. Because it should have taken way more treatments and they would have seen the progression of the cancer dissipating and eventually going into remission, right? but those scans showed that it was just gone.
You know, I had actually I heard of something similar happening to my friend Dr. Blitz. You know, he had you know, he's like a big time atheist here, and
Yeah.
and over the course of like an hour, he went from having like a huge tumor in his abdomen, and then it like disappeared.
Yeah.
It was surgically
So,
removed, is what happened there. Um, you know, some
okay,
cancer
but
treatments
you've
are like
also
very
seen,
quick, and then like
you've
some
seen,
are, you know, very slow. So I guess I'm just not sure why I would think that it couldn't happen like relatively quickly.
yeah, absolutely. Nah, she did not have any surgical procedures done during any point during those. So the
What duration do you think are you claiming that it took for the cancer to disappear?
so she had, I believe it was, I think she had 6 chemo no, that can't be right. I don't know the exact number, but I know that she was pretty early into the treatments and then it was gone.
Do you know what type of cancer it was?
Yeah, so it was a rare aggressive form of lymphoma. They didn't have like a specific word for it.
Oh, and you said it took how many cycles for her to get rid of it?
I don't actually know the number, which is why I don't want to take a stab at it.
So, on average, chemotherapy for lymphoma involves 2 to 6 cycles.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like I don't know how many is like a lot of cycles for a cancer, but that sounds like the only thing that could be lower than that is like one cycle. So
Yeah,
it sounds
absolutely.
like what happened
Yeah.
is like totally within like the normal range.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's like they have the treatment plan and she still had quite a few treatments to go before like they were thinking it would dissipate and go into remission. They were taking the scans at that time to ensure that the chemotherapy was doing what it was supposed to be doing.
Okay,
And
I
that's
mean, I guess
what just gone.
I guess to like cut the chase, it just doesn't seem like there's anything like super strange here. Like I would need to, I mean, if that's your claim, if you want to come back here at some point with like medical documentation saying that, you know, like the doctor signs off saying like it was like an insane miracle never seen before, then I would take that to be evidence for God's existence. But like other than that, based on what you've told me, it kind of sounds like this is like very in line with the treatment for this cancer. And, you know, maybe if it's rarer, then there's like less knowledge for like what's typical with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't really have any other points that I
Okay.
could share with you, but it's all like a mindset thing. And I appreciate you giving me the time to speak with you about it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that your conversations go just as well with your other
Yeah.
interactions. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for coming on up. Appreciate you. Well, she was nice at least. You got to appreciate that. Hey, Ian, my attention's. Oh, sorry, I already answered this one. Or rather, I didn't answer this one, and I'm not going to. In fact, you should make your attention span worse so that you consume more Ian content. Consume. Honestly, I don't think that there's like a good answer to this. Um, I think like I used to be very bad at reading. Like I wasn't able to read for very long, and then I just did it for a while, and you know I got better at it. I mean, you could say like mindfulness and meditation. I used to do that too. In fact, I still do, but you know, it's I don't know if I'd attribute like good attention to that. I actually this is like a crazy prescription, but I actually think what fixed my attention span was doing competitive debate. Holy shit, you need to pay attention for like extended periods of time. You need to be like laser focused for like 50 minutes, dude. It's fucked. Yeah, like there's no way to not be paying like super close attention while doing like competitive debate in like college, for example. Chase Martin, thanks so much for the super chat. This argument of free will is self-defeating. By not giving me all of the info, God is actually taking away my free will. That's true. He's like depriving you of like your autonomy in that way, in the same way that you might say, you know, if you like lie to a woman to get her to sleep with you, that you've in like some sense taken away their autonomy to choose. If it's about like the sort of thing that they would want to know, that you were like lying about. By not giving me all the info, God is actually taking away my free will. He is forcing me to choose whether or not to believe without all the facts. Carl Grimes, thanks so much for the super chat. Sounds like a Drewski sketch. Likely a prosperity gospel follower because she doesn't actually know the Bible. I've been seeing lots of Drewski sketches on my feed lately. They're like quite funny. Yeah, I was like laughing my ass off at some when I woke up today. Why is she answering questions with random verses? Not sure. Our Lady of Fatima, the Miracle of the Sun. Okay, I have like a developing thought about this. I think that all of the miracles worsen the problem of religious confusion because all of the miracles are related to Catholicism, and I think that Catholicism is like definitely false just based on the metaphysics. Like the metaphysics commit you to straightforward contradictions via things like divine simplicity. You know, you're going to end up saying that, for example, God's sustaining power is present at all points, and God is identical to his sustaining power, but you know, God is not present at all points because he's outside of time. You know, he's there's just like tons of contradictions like that pretty immediately fall out of divine simplicity, which is like a dogmatic commitment of the Catholic Church. So any evidence for Catholicism, just like, I don't know, I don't think it like substantially improves the odds of Christianity insofar as Catholicism's metaphysics are impossible. But it does raise, you know, the evidence in favor of like religious confusion. So I just think that I don't know, man. I don't want to make like some insane statement like Our Lady of Fatima, the Miracle of the Sun, is actually evidence against God, but I think it's like any evidence that might contribute is like severely mitigated by the fact that it makes religious confusion so much worse. Very good wizard, thanks so much for the super chat. Meditation can help extend attention spans and focus. Maybe. That seems plausible. Ian, there's lots of women at the party. Move on? I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is saying. Carl Grimes, thanks so much for the super chat. Oh, yep, already read that. What do you think about the idea of modal non-propositionality applied to Christianity? I don't know what this is asking. Modal non-propositionality. A fucking 29-page paper? Oh. Semantics of evidentials is often more of a... Listen, bud, I'm not reading this. You should, can you, please, I kindly request that you re-ask your question in like some terms that I can understand. The cancer didn't have a name, and she worked in the emergency department. A Christian's gonna Christian. Oop. Watching your content helped my attention span. That's great. Very good wizard. Thanks so much for the super chat. I'm pretty sure the gravitational perturbations caused by the Fatima miracle would wreck Earth and everything on the entire planet, maybe nearby planets as well. Although I think like the easy response to this is to say, well, God willed that it didn't. So hey, how's it going?
Hey man, that's
Yeah.
good. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Yep. And what religion?
Yeah, well, I am a follower of Christ.
Okay. What makes you think that God exists?
Well, first of all, man, I want to say I totally understand your need to, question these things because we are not supposed to just, just accept whatever is told to us and believe it as to be true. I'm gonna apologize in advance because I just ended up my workout routine, so I'm gonna be a little bit gassed out.
That's okay.
So, yeah, I heard you talk earlier about God being, how was it? Unsincere about following him, sorry, through free will.
I'm not
You
sure if
just,
I don't know what point you're referring to. What point do you think I was
okay.
making?
Yeah, so it was a super text which said something about this, and you said, yeah, I believe that's true.
For which
That
one?
about God being insincere on free will, like we really don't have any.
Oh, sure. Well, oh yeah, just that if God is not giving us all of like the relevant facts that
Uh-huh.
would allow us to believe in him, then this is like depriving us of free will insofar as his like withholding of information is preventing us from actually like forming a belief.
Okay,
Like it's like taking the option away, If God doesn't provide us with enough evidence to form a belief in him, I just don't know how we could ever rationally form a belief in him.
sure. Yeah, so I get that question. My response to that would be, well, you're not. I don't think you're a parent yet, so
I'm not, yeah.
okay. So I was gonna ask you about what love is. So I would ask like any mother to, you know, even lend me their child a day to do whatever activity, even though it's not ill intent or whatever, and they would not give the child to me because they love their son, they love their daughter.
Maybe they just don't know you.
No, true. But even if they do know me, they'll do well of,
I don't think
not
that's
being
true.
okay. No,
I think that
wait.
there's like almost like an entire industry
No,
of
but
giving your
wait.
child up for a day to a person that you barely know,
No,
and it's
sure,
called
sure. I mean,
daycare.
yeah, I know, I know that exists, man. I'm trying to make a point. I'm talking
Sure.
about families, like I know there's obviously like perfectly functioning systems doing that, but I mean, the love of a child is something really great, and God gave us His only child to us to be given for us and to die for what all of humanity has in their heart, which is sin, right? So sin is the thing that took us away from God in the first place. For the price of sin is death. So we, with our free will, decided that being in presence of God and in His company and all His, all of His grace, that wasn't enough for us, right? So we went and we wanted to know what's good and bad. We wanted to get them pleasures, whatnot. And that is what took us away from God. So God gives us His only child. He comes made flesh, made vulnerable, right?
What's the evidence that that's true, though?
Sure. So you don't believe in the resurrection, right?
No. If I believed in the resurrection, then I would be Christian.
That is totally true. That is a good point. So everything you could say goes down to the resurrection, really. Like, as you say, like if you know that to be true, then Jesus said the truth, right? If the resurrection is true, Jesus told us the truth about who He is, about why He came to us in the first place. So the apostles, who were the ones, as you well know, that followed Him, they were, humans just like you and me. They weren't anything. They weren't perfect people. They were people with flaws, people with fears. They were sinners, and God got them. That He got them, and He wanted flawed people, honest, real people to follow Him. So nobody feels, left out. And these people, like you and me, they have fear of death. They don't want to fucking die. I'm sorry, they don't want to die. So when when soldiers came to get Jesus, all of the my God, my Lord, you know, all of that went right through the window and they fled. Of course they would, right? I mean, who wouldn't? I don't want to die. Like, I love this man and I believe that he is not lying to me. His way of conducting himself, how he treated people, how he did, you know, things that various people could see. So it could be talked, but he didn't want to make a big display. He wasn't like a superstar or anything like that. You know, he walked with modesty, with honesty, and that is why the apostles loved him so much. But when they came for him, well, they ran for their lives. And the thing is, I was watching one of your lives the other day, actually. I requested, but it was too late for me because I live in Spain, so our times are different. Mm-hmm. And you said, I was talking about the apostles. Yeah, so, okay, yeah. You were debating with someone that said that Romans didn't throw people onto pits. That was, yeah, like, man, of course they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't give a single fuck about anyone they crucified.
Yep.
And you also talked about the crucifixion, you know, being a regular death. And it's not even like that. Like, people only got crucified when they were like enemies to Rome. And it was not even like a thing that a simple thief would get. You know, it's like a high penalty, right? So why Jesus got the crucifixion? It was because the Jews, the rabbis, they believed that he wasn't punished enough when he got, I don't know how to tell this in English, with, you know, the whip, okay?
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, whipped, yeah.
Yeah, when he got whipped, when he got, you know, hurt in all these ways, that wasn't enough for them. So they reclaimed, that is not the word, well, they claimed crucifixion. And Pontius
Pilate is, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. So he was like, okay, I've never seen this man do anything for me to condemn him to this. So if y'all really want to do this, you know, we really want to see this man suffer this way, I wash my hands. That is where the phrase, you know, I wash my hands comes from. And that shows you that the people who were really in power, the Romans, they didn't think Jesus to be this awful, you know, like man and whatever. But the thing is, he was so powerful in his message that his truth was becoming difficult to contain. So they crucify him, and he would have gone thrown to the regular pit, but he was given a tomb by a secret follower of him, because he was actually a rabbi or a teacher, a student of a rabbi, who was Joseph of Arimathea. Yeah, so he gave his tomb, which is not it's not anything, you know, like it's you know, like we know that it was expensive, you know, like it was not whatever. And we know Jesus was in this tomb and not in a regular pit because of that. So later on, the first and most pushed argument against the truth of Jesus, I will not say Christianity because it wasn't born even back yet. They were just renegade Jews. They were crazy Jews that were talking about this man that claimed to be God, you know? And yeah, that was the first argument. And what they said was the followers of the Nazarene took the body. They claimed it took the body. Therefore, you know, that was why he wasn't in the tomb, but that he was, you know, his body was stolen. So now
wait, I'm sorry. There's like a couple of things to say here. First of all, you know, the reason,
okay,
I mean,
I was just gonna say,
like the Romans persecuted like tons and tons and tons of people claiming to be the Jewish Messiah. Lots of people claim to be the Jewish Messiah. It absolutely is true. I'll give you like 4 examples, like right here. We got, one sec, where? Okay, sure. We got Simon of Perea, who was killed by the Romans. He is mentioned by Josephus and Tacitus as being, as like claiming to be the Messiah. We
Okay.
have
And
this
which year is this?
Longi's person who was also persecuted by the Romans, claimed to be the Messiah.
Can you tell
this
me the year?
person-
Sorry.
Yes. So this one is 44, or this guy died 46 CE. This one died.
CE? Is that AC?
Yeah.
Okay.
When did this guy die? I don't think his death date is mentioned, but he's mentioned by Josephus, so it would have been pretty early on.
Sure.
Simon. I don't think his death date is mentioned.
I'm gonna just say I stand corrected. I didn't know this guy
They-
claimed to be a
The
Messiah.
Romans killed like a ton of people claiming to be the Messiah.
It's
like-
not actually a ton. You mentioned 4 or 5, which is not a ton. We could agree on that.
That's like how many I found just literally by searching how many Jewish messiahs were persecuted by the Romans.
Okay.
Apparently, actually, like this is like a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
This is what Google AI tells you.
Jewish Messiah figures. Who are you talking to? That is not saying they claim to be the Messiah, though. That they are talking about the Jewish Messiah, who is Jesus. That is not claiming they are the Messiah.
No. Specifically, these people are claiming to be the Messiah. Like,
Can you show me? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. If
there's
it is
like
that
a-
way, there's no problem. I just want to
Sure.
make sure.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah. So there's a Wikipedia page that's like worth looking into, titled Jewish Messiah Claimants, and it's going to give you like, a list of people, in every single century claiming to be the Messiah. There's tons of people who have claimed to be the Messiah, like genuinely tons of them.
Well, I still believe you wouldn't say tons, but sure, a lot of them could do that. That is no problem, because my point was the next one. So all of them fled in the first place. So none of them, we know they didn't want to die. We know they're just not, suicidal, like fanatical people that just go ahead and, throw themselves into the pit to, believe whatever. No, these were like real people with real fear. Okay. And after the fact of the crucifixion, all of them start preaching the truth of Jesus, giving their life for this. And not only that, like imagine yourself in that position for a moment, because it's not anything, you're basically putting yourself a target onto your head for, like against every belief in all the system that surrounds you. You're being persecuted. Christians were persecuted for centuries. Actually, it was, I don't remember well. I don't think it's around the year 300 that Christianity becomes legal. They were persecuted by, for example, Paul. Paul. His letters and all of this. Paul was actually, his original name is Saul. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I've read the entire Bible. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, he was a persecutor of the Nazarenes, and this was just to show you that it was the dangerous thing. And all of them, after experiencing Jesus, after the crucifixion, after his defeat over death, that is what separates him of every people, any person in the world in this history that talked the talk and walked the walk.
Okay.
He went
So
out
let
and-
me give you something that meets your same standard of evidence. Shanti Kali is a Hindu priest who was willing to get executed for his belief in Hinduism and his claimed experiences with the Hindu deities. He was held at gunpoint by a Christian terrorist organization in India, and they demanded that he converted to Christianity or they would kill him. And he said,
horrible.
"Nope, I've seen these Hindu deities. I know that Hinduism is true." And then they killed him. So by your
Okay.
standard of evidence, I should be Hindu because there's evidence that all the parts of the Shanti Kali story happened. This was in like 2000. But we actually have no evidence that any of
Wait,
the
wait.
disciples died preaching a resurrection.
You said there's evidence of all of their claims to be true. Did you just say that?
Yeah, that this person died
What?
claiming to have seen
Oh yeah.
Hindu
Okay, no, yeah.
deities.
Yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean what he claimed is confirmed. You're
Sure, so
talking
then you would
about
say
a
that he
fact.
died for a lie.
Yeah, I would believe that.
Okay,
But I'll
cool.
tell you-
Then why wouldn't I
okay,
say that all the disciples died for a lie?
Okay, because the same amount of documentation, that is not correct, sir. Because we have the books of the gospel who speak about the life of Jesus and speak about all of his deeds. We know his life history after he started preaching, and that is
But how do I know that this isn't just like a lie manufactured by the disciples?
Okay. That is where I go back to my point, which was, would you die for a lie?
Well, apparently people die for lies in your worldview, right? Like you think Shanti Kali died for a lie.
That is true. That is perfect. Okay, so here comes the pinpoint of
Yeah.
my argument.
Yep.
You know people dying for a lie all the time. We got the kamikazes, we got the Valhalla, we got... okay, so for something
I should clarify my view because this is not my view. I don't think that Shanti Kali was lying. I think he was mistaken. And I mean,
okay.
you know, if the
Yeah,
disciples
sure.
did die for the resurrection, I'm not of the opinion that they died, you know, lying about it. I would be of the opinion that they were mistaken about what they had seen. Although I probably wouldn't even grant that. I probably wouldn't even grant like that far into the conversation though, because I have no reason to think that a single disciple died even claiming the resurrection.
Well, that is a lie, for example, because they did claim the resurrection.
What's the evidence?
Well, they're gospels. Did
Okay,
you not
what's
read
the
Bible?
evidence that Mark, Matthew, Luke, or John wrote Mark, Matthew, Luke, or John?
Look, honestly, I don't have the exact knowledge of where is it, but you could go ahead and search for it. There is a passage of Jesus coming back to them, speaking with them. You know,
I have
the 40
no
days.
evidence. The question is like who wrote those books? And the bottom line is that we don't know. They're all written anonymously.
No, okay, yeah, they are written anonymously about the speaks of John, Luke, Matthew, and Mark.
But why would I think that it's written by eyewitnesses as opposed to like a work of mythology?
Okay, so the only passages we see in the gospel, the books, sorry. Wait, but we're moving, and okay, so I wanted to say this. So they were mistaken, yes, but objectively, they would be dying for a lie. You know, if someone died for something that is not the truth, even though they believe it to be true and they were mistaken, but objectively, they are dying for a lie.
What? Wait, sorry. I think we've lost like the position that we were in at the conversation. You're providing the evidence that the Gospels were written by the disciples. What you're trying to provide evidence for is the claim that they died for the resurrection. In order to demonstrate that they died for the resurrection, your evidence is that they claimed so in the Gospels, but that would require that the Gospels were written by them. Do you have any evidence that the Gospels were written by the people who would be in a position to see a thing like that?
No, the Gospels were written. Listen, please, let me finish, man. It's like, dude, I want to have a
You've talked
cool
like
dialogue.
way more than I have. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, okay, sorry. It's not my first language. I'm trying to,
That's okay.
get my thought into place. I'm sorry because I know it's sometimes, a little bit get going, but what I wanted to say is the Gospels are written by the learners of people who lived Jesus. So they would go around preaching about him, talking about this to real people, while their followers, they started registering it like after it being told a lot. But the thing about the apostles is if they died for a lie, if they died for the crucifixion, claiming that the crucifixion was true while they knew that it wasn't, then it makes no sense. Because nobody dies for a lie they know to be a lie.
Why should I think that they
again.
died for the resurrection? It's the same point that we're still on. I don't grant that they died claiming the resurrection. There's no evidence of that.
Jesus was God, the Son.
What's
of
the evidence
Father.
of that?
Dude, did you not read the Gospels? Are you?
What's the evidence that the Gospels are true?
Like if they preach what they knew it was a lie, then what the fuck were they doing? They were
What's
committing
the
this.
evidence that the Gospels were their testimony? There's none.
Dude, what do you mean? There's none. It's literally
There's-
their testimony.
What's
So
the evidence for that?
Well, because it has, his name on it, even though he didn't sign it, but they claimed this truth and they died for this truth, man.
Okay.
That's what you're failing to see.
So important point of clarification, and this is like a cool fact about church history. They did not have names on them prior to like 300 CE. At which point, church fathers, people like Polycarp, people like Eusebius, people like Irenaeus, assigned names to them hundreds of years after the fact. These names were not there originally, and they were not put there by people who are in a position to know who actually wrote them. If you're off the app, I won't be able to hear you. You got to be on the app, otherwise I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. If I had my PC, it would be a lot easier.
Sure.
Well, I don't know that process, how it took place exactly. But I know that the followers of Christ were there with him, and they are actually, we know they talked to people about Jesus. People were starting to, follow his word. They started to follow God because Jesus claimed to be God. He said, "That who has seen me has seen the Father." This is in the gospel. In the gospel, we also have Mark, Luke, John. Listen to him, kiss his feet, referring to him as God.
But why would I think that those are true or like eyewitness testimony?
Yeah, because they went away when they came for Jesus. They didn't want to die. So why would they just throw that away? Why did all of them just swap mentality and said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go and die.
I have
Let's just
no
go through
reason to
ourselves."
think that they died for the or for the resurrection. None whatsoever. You need to establish something like authorship to demonstrate that the Gospels are accurate.
Yeah, okay. The thing is, God didn't come in that manner. He came humiliated. He went through the suffering of the cross, which is something excruciating. Like like how was mentioned. It's even, I don't know if you've seen The Passion of the Christ.
I haven't.
That would be, well, it's a beautiful picture, to be honest. I would recommend that to you. And even that is like a light version of what Jesus really went through. His beard was being torn up, like forcefully. His genitals was cut off entirely, and he was just naked, walking with the cross. So his way of showing us love and showing us, who he isn't with a big entrance in the temple. He didn't come in a big horse. He came in a donkey. He walked, with his ways that his followers later went, and they lived that way, and they gave their life.
You have still not provided any evidence for that claim. You every time you try to make this claim, if your debate strategy relies on you affirming over and over again that, they died proclaiming the resurrection, every single time I'm going to point out that you have not provided evidence for that, and that I'm also going to point out that you keep trying to do this, right? Like,
I got you.
stop trying to say that they died for the resurrection unless you have some sort of evidence that that's true.
Well, I got some scripture for you, okay?
Okay, I'm going to need evidence that the scripture is true.
Okay, so you need evidence that the scripture is true.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you believe in? You believe in the Big Bang, for example?
Yes.
Do you know the difference of believing in what I believe and believing what you believe? Is just you believe in one miracle, which is the Big Bang. The Big Bang is mathematically impossible. It's a theory because of that.
Wait, sorry, why is it mathematically impossible? What's the impossibility? Break that down for me.
It's not entirely impossible because there is a tiny number, but it's just like one in, I guess, a billion.
Why? For what?
For what?
Yeah.
For the accumulation of all the matter there is all matter in all of existence being in the size of a little, little speck. And
Well, it's just specifically what's there is the energy.
Yeah. It's still fucking improbable that is even it. I think like most of the scientific, like deep heads, actually, most of the Nobel winners believe in God. I might say this to you. Every scientific that gets a lot into science, this is actually a quote by someone, I can't recall his name, but he says, every time I get a step closer to science, I get closer to God. The Big Bang is a theory, my friend.
I wonder if he won a Nobel Prize. I think
look at the stats. Are the most Nobel Prizes scientific? There's a lot. Well, maybe not most, but there's a lot. I think there are the most, though. And that comes to show you that you don't know on 100% what you believe is true. But you're saying, yeah, sure, all of matter just come onto the same little speck, which is a mathematic milagro. Miracle. And you believe that to be true. So I ask you, what evidence do you have that is true?
That what is true?
Because what I'm saying is...
Wait, you asked me what's the evidence that I have that it's true? What is the it that you're asking about? What's the evidence for the Big Bang? Oh, that's super easy. Yeah, there's 3 points of evidence. The first is the cosmic microwave background radiation. Basically what this is that there's this ubiquitous radiation. It's at all points of space. What this is the initial orange light from like an extremely hot, dense state that would have taken 13.8 billion years and would have had to be there at an extremely small point in it in order for it to be there. No, but that we know how light decays. So we can determine, we can roll the clock back on light decay from the decay of this radiation back to light, and it would have been the size of like roughly like a human. And then, it's clearly much bigger than that, which means, from that, we know that the universe used to be extremely small, hot, and dense, and that it's now much bigger. We also see that it continues to expand. That's the third point of evidence.
To expand, that's correct. We can't really say that all of matter moved how we think because we haven't gotten into that spot yet. We do know how light gets old. We know how some particles work, but we can't, my friend, say on 100% that is how it went down. This is a speculation, a theory.
Wait, Sarah, do you think that like saying like the laws of physics operated, like roughly the same way throughout the universe or throughout like the last like 13.8 billion years? Do you think that's like speculation?
Mm-hmm. No, I say.
Oh, well, that's all I'm claiming is that they operate the same way. That the laws of physics, the laws of nature themselves have not changed in the last like 13.8 billion years. Also, I think it's like incredible that you oscillate between like citing scientists. Scientists believe in God, but also like you don't believe in science. So
what? How do I not believe in science?
You reject the Big Bang. You don't think the Big Bang is true?
Well, because it's not proven, my friend. It's just a theory.
So do you think like theory means like shower thought? Like, what do you think? What do you think a scientific theory is?
No, wait a second. You claim a lie about me. So let me please clarify this.
Is the Big Bang the scientific consensus, or is it not?
It's a scientific consensus about being a good shot to what happened. It's not.
Okay, so it is, to be clear, it is the scientific consensus. All scientists, all cosmologists believe in the Big Bang.
I don't know that. We should look that up.
Okay, I can, happy to Google that.
But wait a second. I don't negate science, bro, at all.
You just reject like the scientific consensus.
No, I rejected a theory of all of everything being in a mathematical impossibility almost. Because you just can't stand that some things are not in our control. There is something more to just bone and matter. That is scary to the human, and it's normal. We are hardwired to believe, like be safe on what we can just. Okay, this is that. The scientific method, something that can be repeated in a controlled place, and with controlled conditions. The thing that's scary about all of this, God being true, is that you can't just rely on your knowledge about the whole existence and give answers, because we don't have answers. Every time we get deeper into knowledge, we get more questions that are even bigger than what we've accomplished. And that's okay. So the thing is, this man, Jesus Christ, he said he was the God, the same God that created us. You said, why is the Bible true? Why can the Quran be true? Why can the Surahs, Muhammad Gandhi, all these people, why aren't they the truth? So the Bible is a compilation of, I think it's 64. Can you, I don't know if you...
Oh, okay, wait, cool. Okay, I found a source for you. According to The Atlantic, 99...
Are you listening to me?
Well, what I'm doing is finding like the source that demonstrates that you are indeed anti-science, because you seem to care like a lot about that. So 99.9% of the members of the National Academy of Sciences believe in the Big Bang. So when you reject the Big Bang, you think you disagree with 99.9% of scientists. Is that correct?
Where is this source from?
Yeah, according to the National Academies of Sciences.
Okay. If that's the, but wait.
So you do agree with 99.9% of scientists on this issue.
The thing is, I don't know this. I don't know if this academy just makes surveys on universities, whatnot. I'm talking about like the heavy hitters. I don't know if that is just from people that, as I said, won Nobel Prizes, or just university people. This is important because the word should carry more on those who have gone deeper into knowledge, right? So the thing is,
well, okay, sure. So like you're still doing like science denial to this moment, right? Like when presented with evidence that you're doing science denial, you try to like deny the evidence and discredit the evidence.
No, I'm not discrediting the evidence.
So you're accepting the evidence that 99% of scientists believe in the Big Bang?
Did you not listen to my question?
Your question about what? About who are these people?
Yeah, exactly.
The National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, also known as the National Academies, is a congressionally chartered organization that serves as a collective scientific national academy for the United States of America. The name is used interchangeably in two senses. One is an umbrella term for the parent organization for its three subdivisions that operate as quasi-independent, honorific, learned society member organizations known as the National Academy of Sciences. I mean, the long story short is that it looks like it's
very serious. It's pretty serious, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But do we agree that it's still theory, though? Because
by theory, what do you mean?
Theory being it's not a law. The difference about...
Oh, yeah, and it's always going to be a theory. The thing about science, and this is why science is so much better than a religion, is that when religion gets something wrong, it's wrong forever. It can't update itself to be in line with the evidence. So the Bible says like a bunch of like false things that can't possibly be true, that will never be true. It says pi has a value of 3. Wrong, false, could never be true. It says rabbits chew cud. Wrong, false, can never be true. It says that outer space is water. Wrong, false, can never be true.
Wait,
it would be really good if science... Well, it says that outer space is water. It says that just is water. It doesn't say that there's some water in space. It says that outer space is water.
Okay. Get me a second. Not everything in the Bible is literal. So when it says the space is water, it is not claiming that physically, literally, that's water. You can get that into a more deeper interpretation.
How do you know that that's a metaphor and not literal?
Okay, there are a lot of passages that are not meant for them to be.
But how do you know that specific one is metaphorical, not literal?
Well, for that, you should see a more deep explanation about the scholars of the Bible, but they do agree that certain passages and certain stuff that science have given us answer to are not meant, to be taken as literal. But it's not a lie either, because it's saying outer space is water. And we do know there are the components of water in outer space, lacking oxygen, of course, but the element is there, so it's not a lie. For example,
you think outer space lacks oxygen and it shares that property with water?
what?
Is that what you just said?
Do you have oxygen in outer space?
No.
Sorry, did I miss this? Okay, then.
What do you think the O in H2O is?
H2O is hidrógeno y oxígeno. One of hydrogen, two of oxygen? Is it not that? Okay, then there's hydrogen in space. And that is basically element of water. We know that, for example, if an asteroid comes and crashes into Earth.
Wait, sorry. I think I must have missed it. It's the opposite. H2, so it's 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen.
Okay.
But I mean, it sounds like the point like flipped. Like at first you said, it doesn't have any oxygen in it, same as water. And then you realized it does have, like, water does have oxygen, and then the point became the exact opposite.
No, wait. Okay, sorry. I got it mixed up there. I said that water has oxygen. I said there's no oxygen in outer space. That's what I said.
That would seem to be an indication that outer space is not water.
It's not water, but it has 2/3 of it. So you would say that's a lie? Do you not know that when
I just don't think like being 2/3 of a thing is the same thing as like being the thing.
Sure. But you couldn't really say that to be just a stupid claim either. There's certain truth in it.
Saying that outer space is water is a stupid claim, right? Like that's just false.
Okay. When I said it's not, literal, maybe you could get even poetic with it. When astronauts are taught in making simulations, can you guess where they do them?
Yeah, well, so they do it in like a number of places, right? Like they do it. They have like obviously the thing you're talking about is like they have like the water chamber, but they also do. They'll have like a plane that zooms up and zooms down and zooms up and zooms down to do zero gravity.
I know. There's a lot of processes, but I'm telling you, like as I said, it's not literal.
How do you determine if something is literal or metaphorical? Is it just vibes?
No. When science, advances, because God is not anti-science. There's a lot of things that are spoken in the Bible, and historically, they cannot be. They're not a lie. Actually. Have you seen that there's not one single archaeological finding that contradicts the Bible?
I mean, if you
There's
want,
not one.
why do we have no evidence of like an exodus from Egypt?
Okay, but we have evidence of the great
Flood?
Yeah. I'm not
Like
saying
what?
every archaeological fact in the Bible is proven. I'm saying there's not one archaeological finding in our time that debunks the Bible,
The absence of evidence is evidence of absence in this case because it's a huge claim. Yeah, I mean, if the claim is that, for example, the Muslims run into the same problem. They claim that Muhammad split the moon in half. But of course, all these nations would have seen it and recorded it. Similarly, if there's an exodus of like hundreds of thousands of people from Egypt, millions even of people from Egypt, if there were millions of Jewish slaves in Egypt, there would be some record of some of this, but there's no record of any of it.
There were millions. The population wasn't that big, I believe, but there were a lot, and there are still. Maybe there were. Yeah, I don't know, a lot, but I don't think.
Over 2 million.
Okay, over 2 million, but that was not everyone that went with Moses, though, because a lot of them died, and a lot of them didn't believe God was true. Didn't believe, Moses was talking about the true God, and they didn't follow him. So it wasn't the 2 million who went with him. But anyway, you talked about the Quran having the same problem. Do you know when the Quran was written?
like
It was really-
600, but this seems like a pivot. Also, okay, like
Well,
why is
I
there
just-
why is there like
wait,
zero
I
evidence
just talked
of an
about the- I just talked
exodus?
about
Like,
the-
wouldn't there be some
I just-
evidence of like millions of people? Like, if they lost, like, to put this into perspective, at the time
You
of the
are pivoting
Exodus,
out of the fact that
Egypt
there's
as
not
a
one
Egypt as a
archaeological
nation has
finding
like
that debunks
8
the
million
Bible.
people.
Respond to
So
that
to be clear, you're
before-
telling me
before
that they
going ahead.
lost like a fourth of their population. They lost 2 million people who were slaves. They lost, you know, probably like that must be like all of their slaves. And there's no record of any of that?
There is record of the king, right?
But there's no
And we
record
know-
of them
we know
owning
that the king-
Jewish
we know that the
slaves
king was
or
what?
the Jewish slaves leaving.
Well, the Bible is okay. The Bible is talking about what missed in a city that was filled with death, my friend. Of course, that happened. But you're pivoting out of the fact that there's not one archaeological finding. You love evidence. You love evidence. So why isn't there one finding that has debunked the Bible?
Oh, I mean,
Maybe
I can
you
give
don't
you
have-
I can give you some
maybe-
easy debunks for the Bible. In fact, I already gave you lots. You know,
Maybe
for
you don't
example,
have
like the
about
fact
Exodus.
that it claims that like pi is 3. You know, surely you don't think pi is 3 like the Bible does, right?
I'm talking archaeological
Oh,
facts.
wait, sorry. Why do you want to restrict the scope of the evidence? Why are you scared of the evidence that's not archaeological?
No, I'm not scared. I'm not
Oh,
scared.
sure. Then if you're not scared of it, then engage with it. Do you think pi is 3?
Okay. Listen to this. Did Jesus come and
Okay,
taught you about
that's a
math?
dodge, I guess. I guess he doesn't want to answer whether or not he thinks pi
You're
is
not
3.
getting the message. You're not getting the. I told you, whenever science goes ahead and find us the truth, we are not meant to just grab what pi is 3 and give it as the true answer. No, because that was what they believed in that moment where they had this knowledge. You know, the Bible was useful to those people in their time, because you have to read the Bible in context. You can't just, throw that out there and be like, yeah, pi is 3, the answer to that. No, of course, pi is not 3.
Then why does it
But-
say that it is in the Bible? Was it wrong? Did the Bible make a mistake?
I mean, yeah, mathematically, it wasn't correct. But
Okay.
that doesn't matter to the fact that the main message of the Bible, which is the New Testament, when Jesus came, he said, I came not to, he said he came to fulfill the word of God. The blood of Jesus is what is known as the new covenant, which after Jesus, we are no longer held by the rules of the Old Testament, which were a lot of them. There was a lot of rules and a lot of harsh ones, like very disciplined. We had the Old Testament actually.
You think
is
Jesus
also-
got rid of the Old Testament law?
He came to renew it. He came to complete it. He paid
But
the price.
do you think he
for
got
it.
rid of it? Like, do you think he got rid of all those like horrible statutes?
He paid the price for us. Yes, he did.
So he did come to abolish it. He abolished it, basically.
He abolished a lot of laws and gave us 10 commandments.
Okay,
Which
sure.
are,
So he came
thou
to-
shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal.
Okay. That's
which
just
are-
kind of a problem, right? Because he actually didn't come to abolish the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So he's saying, like, still follow the Old Testament.
No. He's saying he came not to abolish, but to fulfill. And he gave us the commandments that were not meant to be broken or corrupted.
Who he's
Which was
saying all
his.
of them, like, the law, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law. What law is he talking about?
But about the law of his word, his commandments.
Which law?
You are reading this from which passage, by the way?
This is Matthew 5:17 through 20.
Okay. So can you read when he talks about the 10 commandments?
Wait, I want you to address this first before we pivot away.
No, it's not pivoting.
What
He is
what
giving the
law
answer.
is he referring to? If he's not referring to the Mosaic law, the Levitical law, which law is he referring to?
You know, Jesus speaks about him paying the price in full.
Which law is he talking about when he says, "For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away,
the
not
law
one."
of Moses.
Sure.
The law of Moses.
So then you would agree that not one letter, not one stroke of a letter has passed away from the law?
Okay, I couldn't answer to this because I'm not who said it. Jesus said it. You know what also he said?
It's right there in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Let's just
and-
make
and
sure
you
that we can like track this, right?
Jesus says, I am the law of Moses. He says, I am the law of Moses. He embodies the law,
And did Jesus pass away?
and he came back.
Okay, but did he pass away?
No, he came back and then rised
Oh.
up to heaven.
Wait, sorry. Can you resurrect if you're not dead?
No, I mean, yeah, he died, but he didn't
Sure.
stay.
So he did pass.
Yeah, for 3 days.
Sure. Okay. So then that would just be like a contradiction.
No, it's not.
It's saying strictly it will not pass. Passing for 3 days and then coming back is passing away.
Okay, I can answer to this easy. So Jesus is 100% man and it's 100% God.
It seems like a contradiction, right? I mean, you know,
Yeah, for you, because
can God
because-
change?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
you
he
think
can.
God can
He can.
change?
Listen.
So he's not
listen,
outside of time?
Wait, listen. Stop doing that. Just listen.
Okay.
It's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction because God is God, right? If God is who he
fuck.
says he
He's
is,
God,
he can-
sure. Yeah.
No, wait, no.
God is
but- okay,
God. And that it's not
I'm talking
oh,
about
okay. Yeah,
he
that
is
explains
not
it.
limited. Listen, he is not limited for our laws of reality. He is outside of what we know as reality. He sees everything. He is the creator. So of course he can do this, limit himself to a human existence, but his spirit is still God, and our spirit doesn't
Okay.
die.
Is God limited?
No, listen. I'm answering to what you said. Don't pivot.
Well, I'm asking you, is God limited?
No. Let me answer.
It's not a pivot, it's directly related. You said, you know, he limited himself and Jesus is 100% God. Is God limited?
Intellectually dishonest, man.
Is he
Please.
limited? Just answer the question. Is God limited or not?
He limited by becoming a human.
So God is limited.
No. Listen. He limited himself willingly.
So God
He
is
willingly-
limited.
No.
God
He
is not
limited-
limited.
Do you not get it? Do you not get that
I'm just trying to get clear on this. Is God limited?
No, he is not. He limited himself when he lived as Jesus. Then
Oh,
he
I
is
see
no
what you're
more-
saying. He's not limited. He limited himself.
Yeah.
Do you hear yourself?
Oh, so you can limit yourself?
If you're not limited, then you're
Okay,
not
okay.
limited.
Okay, dude. Okay, this is so easy. So I can fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I hop into a ring with a kid, can I limit myself in
Yeah.
my manner of skill?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that because I know what I'm doing, right? You know, I know this shit. It's all good.
Yeah.
So imagine like if God is who he says he is, do you think he could not do that? Do you think he cannot limit himself to a human existence, willingly going through our pain, like the greatest pain, because he can? He is the creator of everything if he says who he is. So why couldn't he? It's his game. We don't know how that works. We don't know how he works. He has the capability of doing anything for what we know. So why wouldn't he be able to limit himself to a human existence?
It's a
I think
contradiction.
that's-
Yeah.
No,
So
it's
here's the contradiction for you. So premise 1, God is not limited. Premise 2, Jesus is 100% God. Premise 3, Jesus is limited. Thus, Jesus is not limited and limited.
Correct yourself. It's Jesus is 100% God and it's 100% man.
Sure, that's fine. Yep, same conclusion.
So you are being very narrow-minded here because you're thinking that an entity that created the entire universe, which I'm not saying you believe that to be true, but
I
you're saying
understand.
the argument. Okay, yeah. So you're saying that this being God can't do that, it's just hard for me to get, because why wouldn't you think he could just go through our, fleshly experience and walk with us? He wanted to connect with us that hard that he became human. That is the beautiful thing about Jesus. He is God. He has the spirit of God, but he lived with the fears and the upbringing of a man, a carpenter. And he knew our pain because he lived as one of us. He lived a sinless life. He lived the life none of us could even try to, because not every Christian, there's a lot of, we all flaw, man.
Do you affirm the conclusion or not? The thing that's highlighted on screen, do you agree or disagree with that?
His body was limited, his spirit was not.
Okay. So, sure, okay, so God is limited in some ways.
No, he limited himself in the human.
Is not limited in any way. And then we could, he's limited, Jesus is limited in some way. Then we would have it, Jesus is not limited in any way and is limited.
No. I said Jesus is limited in the bodily way.
Yeah, so he's limited in some way.
Now you're lying.
Do you is being limited in the bodily way a way to be limited?
No, he's.
You don't think being limited in the bodily way is a way that you could be limited?
That is when you believe that if you kill the body, you kill the being.
No.
Which is not what Jesus says.
This is basic sentence parsing, I fear.
No.
You disagree that being limited in body is a way of being limited?
No, of course it's a way of being limited. That's
why they keep sure. So Jesus is limited in some way.
Because God limited himself. Yeah. Yes.
And God is not limited in any way.
Oh my God, dude. Are you really
is that correct?
God limited himself, being this, what we know is God.
So he's both limited. He's both not limited in any way because he's 100% God, but he is limited in some way because he's 100% human.
By definition, okay, hear me out.
Is that correct?
Hear me out. By definition of what God is, that is not a contradiction. That is something within his capabilities.
It's a direct contradiction, unfortunately.
No. If you take the account of God's capabilities, it's not a contradiction. Dude,
you don't think Jesus is not limited in any way and is limited in some ways a contradiction?
Jesus is not limited on his spirit, which is his actual existence state.
So you would disagree that God is not limited in any way? There are some ways that God is limited.
No, I'm saying God limited himself. Once again, you're not getting it. God limited himself.
So are there some ways that God is limited?
Well, those 33 years when he decided to, yes.
Okay, sure. So then God is not an unlimited being.
What?
Is it better to be limited or unlimited?
God is unlimited. God is eternal. And in our lapse of
except when he's limited, of course, right?
Yes, exactly.
Sure,
in our lapse of those 33 years, he lived. I mean, he obviously knew everything, but he even knowing he was gonna die, he gave himself willingly. When he's in the in Gethsemane, he says he knows what is coming to him. And he recites a passage that refers to the sacrifice of the lamb. He knows that he is about to get,
I've already read the entire Bible. We don't need to do Bible study. I just want clear answers to these basic questions.
Apparently I do, because you don't get that he already knows, by the way.
It's a direct contradiction. I just don't think cognitive dissonance is the way that I want to live my life. If you want to hold contradictions in your head, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to believe in something that contradicts itself.
No, you just don't want. You're afraid to actually see what
I'm afraid of believing in contradictions. Is what I'm afraid of doing.
But if you get the attributes of God, you should get with your mind, your thinking mind, that he does not apply by our own laws and understandings. He is eternal. He sees everything, and he went ahead and limited himself, because that in his spec of existence. Time is not what we think for him. So why is it so difficult?
Do you think contradictions are logically possible?
By definition, If
They
God
are.
is who he is, that is not a contradiction. That is within his capabilities, and he can do that. If
So you
don't
think that if
understand
something
what
is the way
God
that it is by
if you don't
definition, then
understand
it's not a
what God is,
contradiction?
if you don't understand
You
what
don't think
God
that
is
like
and what
something
his
can be
capabilities
contradictory by
are, that's
definition?
on you.
Is that
That's
correct?
on you.
You don't think that
Wait,
something
what?
can be contradictory by definition?
By definition of what exactly? What are you
By
defining?
like the definition of the thing, can it be
Define
contradictory?
God. Define God.
Yeah, like a
for me.
personal ultimate foundation.
No, you love definitions, man. Come on, give me something better than that.
That's a really good definition, and I'm sticking by it.
Come again?
It's a really good definition, and I'm sticking by it.
Your definition.
Yeah, God is a personal ultimate foundation.
Personal and ultimate foundation
Yeah.
of
Reality?
So the personal and ultimate foundation of reality, right? He cannot come himself into his own reality that he created and walk it as one of us. He could not
Except
do
when
it.
he did?
Exactly. Do you get it now? No. I'm asking you.
Oh, man.
No, dude, are you stupid? I'm asking you, can he not do that?
Oh,
Can he not
boy.
do it?
He can't come into reality except when he
asking-
did.
No, I'm asking you, dude. Oh my
He
God,
could.
you
He
think-
couldn't come into
the fact that you
reality,
think
and then he
you're
came
so
into
intelligent
reality.
It's just so funny, dude.
Bro,
It's
this
really
is.
funny.
It's just like
No,
directly
but no,
contradictory.
No, I'm asking you, the creator.
This is
and
like
the
profound
uni-
cognitive dissonance. Come on.
The unipersonal creator of reality cannot come himself into reality like one of us. I'm asking you.
Yeah. And then he came into reality as one of us.
No, I'm asking you. I'm not saying that is the truth. That is what you are claiming. Do you get it now?
No?
Okay, you're saying the creator of everything cannot come into his own creation like one of us. That is
Yeah,
what
and
you are
maintain
saying.
like his immutable properties. Yeah. You know, he can't remain
immutable property?
like, for example, unchanging
so-
and then
so-
change
so he-
into being like a being
Yeah.
that changes. Yeah, it's like a bit of a
Because you
contradiction.
think he cannot limit one extent of his all ever glowing existence. He cannot limit himself because why? Because you believe he has to compare.
It's a contradiction, bud.
No,
A,
it's
a thing that
not.
is unlimited is not limited.
You're still not getting it, brother.
It's like
Why
super
couldn't-
basic
No, it's not super basic. Why couldn't he?
because
What
it's a contradiction.
No.
Yes.
It's within his
An unlimited
capabilities.
being is not limited. If God
Reality.
limited himself, then he's not unlimited.
Sorry. Wait, what?
If God limits himself, he's not unlimited.
You're talking about limiting as he couldn't do whatever he wanted in that state. We don't know how much he could have done different, right?
I mean, limited in the way that you're using it. You've said
No.
multiple times that God limited himself. Whatever you mean by that, that's what I mean by that.
Well, living as the son of Mary and Joseph, that is limiting himself because he could just, not come to us and keep being the God of the Old Testament that we knew. For all we know, he could have just stayed in that state, but he decided not to. He decided to come into earth, being a humble son of a carpenter. He didn't come from the sky in a blazing fire. He was born in Nazareth, in the place with the goats and
Yeah,
whatnot.
Nazareth. Yep.
So that is limiting himself. He is the creator of everything, and he's God.
Yes.
And-
Yeah, it's a
and he
contradiction.
decided-
It's still a contradiction. No matter how many times you say it, it's a contradiction.
No, but you're saying
An
that.
unlimited being is a contradiction. It's like a squared circle.
No, because it's his own will to be limited.
Yes. So it's a
like if I
limited,
decide-
unlimited being.
Like if I decide not to break a little kid's arm in an arm wrestle, I can limit myself in.
Then
in
you
my
wouldn't be
own
unlimited.
capability. No, because I am just a human. But he.
Yes.
Okay,
And it's not analogous. If I was an
Spirit,
unlimited fighter and then I like limited myself, I would no longer be an unlimited fighter.
because, well, you are a human just limiting your force because that is what you have access to.
Then I wouldn't be unlimited.
That you're still capable
Do
of
you
doing it.
let's
You're
get
just not
a
doing
point
it.
blank answer. Do you think that something can be an unlimited limited being?
I believe if God is who he says he is, he can of course limit himself.
Okay, so he
into
can't.
human
So he is a limited, unlimited being.
because God is not body, God is
Just say
spirit.
yes. Is that
No,
your
listen,
belief?
no,
Yes, you
no,
think God is a limited, unlimited
no, because
being?
look, the truth won't come to you in yes or no answers, my friend.
I'm just trying to get
stop
clear
doing
on it
that.
to see if that's
No,
what you
but
believe or
you're
not.
not
Either you
getting
do
clear
believe
because you are
that or
so
you don't believe
dishonest.
that.
No, you're
You know,
so
God,
dishonest. Whenever
from
you're met with
what you're
something
telling me
that
sounds like an
tumbles your
unlimited,
little
limited
process
being.
of
If that's
thought,
not what
you
you're
just get scared.
saying,
You
then
just
you
get
can say,
scared.
no, that's not what I
With all
believe.
these yes or no
I'm just
answers
trying to
that
make
come
sure
to
that I
nowhere.
understand and am accurately representing your viewpoint. You do believe
Okay,
that
so get this.
Jesus
I'm
was
gonna give
a
it to you. I'm
limited,
gonna give it to you.
unlimited being.
I'm gonna give it to you. My
Is that correct?
express consensus is the next one. Yeah.
Okay, we're not
I
going to get an
believe
answer to the
God.
question.
Yeah, get it. I believe God can limit himself if he wants to. Yes, that is your answer, okay?
So
Get
the
that
answer is
and stop
yes?
asking yes or no and whatnot. That is my
So
statement.
the answer is
okay?
yes.
Dude, okay. All right, man. Sure, bro.
Okay,
Oh my God,
sure. Well,
you're
that's
so
a contradiction. So
yeah, okay, buddy. God is spirit. God. He is spirit. We have spirit in what we have been told and what we can experience. Even we are not just body and body and matter. God says, "Fear not the one who can kill the body, but the one who kills the soul." Okay.
there's no
So
evidence for any of this.
it's in the Bible. That's what he says. And we are saying this
But so is the contradiction that you just affirmed.
No, listen. So I'm saying this because fear not the one who kills the body, but the one who kills the soul. God is giving his body for us, suffering, limiting himself in that way. But his soul, his spirit is still God.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. The limited, unlimited being, ladies and gentlemen. Well, hey, I'm not going to believe in a limited, unlimited being, so I appreciate you coming on up. But I think this conversation has run its course. Chase Martin Physics, thanks so much for the super chat. When they bring up a prophecy, you can ask about Jesus telling the crowd that some of them will still be alive when he returns. Hard deadline on himself that he missed by 2 millennia. That's true. That is like a really good point, I think. I like to bring that one up. Dr. Fudge, thanks so much for the super chat. Theist, it's not a relatability problem. It's a reasonability problem, or reasonability and rationality problem. Proselytizing doesn't work. Yeah, I think that's true, right? Like if somebody sat down with me and presented me like good logical arguments, I think I'd be convinced. That's why I changed my mind on the fine-tuning argument, is that, I think it's like, I don't think that it works, but I think it's like pretty good. I think that there's like kind of a class of arguments that are like pretty good. And then I ultimately think that they fail, but they're like pretty good. I wish that Dia spent more time trying to develop their knowledge base and got like I honestly think that if somebody got like super deep on the fine-tuning argument, they'd probably beat the fuck out of me. Like seriously. But people spend more time like learning how to preach than they do like reading literature. So I've just never ran into the opponent who's able to do that. Because I'm just like deeper in the literature than everybody else by like a long shot, which sucks because like I don't even think it would take that long to get like deeper than I am on the fine-tuning literature. Like maybe a couple of months of reading and you'd be good to go. You'd be beating the fuck out of me, but nobody does that. So, it's on the table. Seriously, theists, this is like it's free real estate. You could be the one that like humiliates me on my own like live stream if you just like spend a couple of months reading about the fine-tuning argument and then all the responses and then all the responses to the responses. And then some. Thanks so much for the super chat. What do you think about I already read that. Listening earlier, dude came in and said atheists can't ground logic, then knew nothing about logic and got sacrificed as a burnt offering to Yahweh. True. Fucking facts, dude. Yeah, banger. And 99 and $9.99 9.99 of my dollars disagrees with keeping this pointless guest on. Probably true. 100% God and 100% man. Talk about mathematical impossibilities. Okay, it's not a mathematical impossibility if it's the same 100%. You're just committed to saying that the human stuff was the God stuff, but like the human stuff got like giga obliterated. So you know, like yeah, it's unfortunate. But hey, anyway, let's see if we have anything else. Anything else? Anything? Any further things? I don't think so. Okay. I'm heading out. So sorry if I didn't get to you. If I didn't get to you, come back tomorrow. You'll be at the very top of the list. I'm sorry for being an evil fuck. Other